Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Voices from the Mausoleum. This is our, I almost forgot what month we were in, April Live. Today, we're going to be talking a couple picks for underrated slashers, and depending on how the conversation goes, maybe even get to discuss where slashers are going now that there have been so many game changers recently. But first, I'm going to introduce and reintroduce some of my guests today. So today I have Ashley and Ken Sledge from Sledgehammer Horror. Hey, I'm so glad you guys were able to make it. Yay.
Yeah, we're excited.
I think so I was just recently on their channel. I did a live over there. I did a show, one of Ken's shows, my first horror movie where I talked about love for Poltergeist. You guys want to take a second and just talk about what you do over at your channel?
You want to start, Mom, or you want me to start?
You start.
All right. So we are Sledgehammer Horror. We are husband and wife. We've been together 18 years. And we decided to start doing the channel about 3 years ago. We do a podcast called My First Horror Movie, where we bring guests on and we talk about the first horror movie they watched and how it affected them. I've been lucky enough to have all three of these amazing women on that segment. We also do a top 10 or a franchise ranking once a week live. And Ashley does some things as well. You want to talk about it, babe?
Yeah, so we do another segment called Didn't See That Coming, where we choose a movie that has a twist and we kind of talk about how that affected us. And then we do another one called Versus, where we take an original versus a remake and talk about both of them, things we like from both of them, and then verse them against each other. And then we have the new one that we just started. Yeah. You can talk about that one.
It's called In Defense Of, where we bring guests on to talk about a movie that they love that is not very liked in the horror community and why it's worth defending and why we should defend it. And I would love to have both of you back. I know Ashley would too. That's another one that we do together. So it's a way that we can bring guests that have been on before and bring them back to interview them again about something else they're passionate about. So it's something that I think we're having a lot of fun with that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you guys are similar to me in the regard that you do a lot of different things. You cover a lot of different things, so if you're horror fans, the links are in the description for the episode. Definitely go follow, subscribe, and follow on the socials. And Jordana has been here one other time before. So this is Jordana from Pretty Killer Podcast. For the edited version of the episode that she and I did, we talked collectively for almost 4 hours. So I was, yeah. So, but yeah, do you want to talk about Pretty Killer Podcast?
Sure. It's just me, and I didn't know what I was doing coming into it. And first season was just a whole bunch of people that wanted to come on and chat with me. So season 2 will be out soon, and just talk random horror things. And then I started another podcast with Sam from To Be or Not to Be, Feature Creatures DTF, and that's just more pop culture, drinks. We go off on tangents, talk about pretty much anything and everything. So that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, and Jordana's links are also in the link or the description for this episode. Yeah, she and I we think a lot alike, so it's always interesting to see what you think of certain things, especially if it's things I have strong opinions on. So, you guys said a couple hellos. Adrian.
Hey, Adrian. Hey, Nathan.
Hey, Nate.
Thought Ashton was here as well. What's up? Oh, there he is. What's up, Ashton?
What's up, Blaine Bruce? Hey, Albert. So we're going to be talking underrated slashers. And I think this is a really interesting list. I'm so excited to talk about these. So I'm going to let Ashley go first with her first pick for underrated slasher.
Okay, so one of my picks was Esther. And I think she's underrated because you see her, she looks like a little girl, and so you're not going to think she's tough, but she's brutal, and she manipulates you. You think she's this innocent child, and she's not. And so also the newest one, I was so surprised by, actually. I didn't think that they would have a twist with it. And because the first twist was so crazy, how could they top that? And the twist that came along with that, I was just kind of blown away a little bit again. So yeah, that's my first pick.
It's a good pick.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I was thinking the same thing going into the new one. I was thinking, I kind of went in with really low expectations, thinking all that could have impressed me had probably already been done.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm drawing a blank on the woman's name that plays her, but she's fantastic. I've seen her in some indie horror stuff as well, and she does a great job. So yeah, that's a really good one.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, cool. Ken, what was your first one for underrated?
Okay, I'm going a little bit different with my list. I'm not going underrated slashers so much as I want to defend the fact that these are slashers.
Yeah.
And my first one, I'm going to go with the T-800, my boy Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Terminator. This is a fight that I'm willing to have every day of my life. I mean, I already have. I defend the fact that the Terminator is 100% a slasher. And I think that it's one of my favorite slasher films of all time. The first Terminator. I feel like it's so good and it's so dark and it's got like this noir film like feeling to it. And I mean, he wears a mask to cover his true identity. He goes through the phone book to kill every Sarah Connor that's in the phone book. Like, he is a killing machine that absolutely will not stop until he gets the person he's there for. If I told you that was Michael Myers, you'd be like, yep, that's a Halloween movie right there. So I mean, just because of the fact that it's more science fiction, people don't classify it as a slasher, but to me, it's 120% a slasher film.
Yeah. I hadn't really thought about it that way, because I think when I think slasher, I pretty much just assume there's no like paranormal element. There's no, like it's really just people horror basically. And
but I mean, look at Jason. I mean, Jason, towards the end of that franchise is totally supernatural.
Yeah. Well, and Freddy is technically considered, I think, a slasher too, and it's pretty supernatural too. So that's a good point. Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that one.
Well, I got it early, so I knew it was coming, but it still sounded weird at first. All right, Jordana, what you got for number one?
So I have Joseph and Aaron from Creep 1 and Creep 2, Mark Duplass. I think he is such a underrated slasher. I think that he is perfect, like playing this like crazy serial killer, but you like want to love him. Like, I remember watching the first one. I'm like, he is hilarious. He's funny. Like, I could see where you would get warped in his like web of this guy is fucking crazy, but I kind of like him. And then like the back and forth with like the trust. And I think that's the key, is like, it's scary because you think of yourself in situations meeting new people. You know what I mean? Like, you could trust someone and they could show some red flags, and then you're like, oh, I'm a good person, and then you get an axe in your head. You know what I mean? Like, and I loved the end of the first one where he opened up the cabinet and he had like all the tapes of the people he killed. So I think he's pretty brutal.
And when you start the second one off with, oh, hi, I'm Aaron, you're like, hold on a minute. You wait just a second there, mister.
And that whole opening scene, I watched that the first time I watched Creep 2. I watched it 2 times. I watched it back to back because I was like, holy shit. I loved their chemistry. I loved that storyline. I think he's great. And I kind of like wish we would have gotten like a prequel to explain what kind of there. You know what I mean? Like, to get to the real deep roots. But then I really want another one. So I hope we get that.
So am I the only one here that's not a Creep fan? You guys, everyone else loves it but me? Am I the only one?
I wouldn't say I love it, but I mean, I liked both the films. Like I wasn't disappointed. I'm not a huge found footage guy. Found footage, in order for me to enjoy a found footage film, like, it has to be dynamite and it has to be done for the right reasons. And that's a whole nother tangent I can go on. But I'll just say that I like Creep. I'm not like head over heels in love with it.
I feel like like you said, found footage, it was done in such a natural way that it kind of felt like you were really watching, and the guy that played Aaron was the director, was the guy that like did all of it. So I thought that was kind of cool to have, that dynamic. But I felt like no one really talks about it. And I don't know if it's because people don't like it, or if it's just like no one knows about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was actually thinking when you said I'm a massive found footage person, like a whole series about it on my channel, like love found footage. And I feel like in the found footage circles, people love creep. Like I feel like I see stuff about it all the time. I think it made my co-host like top list when we did our like introduction episode. Like there seems to be a lot of love, but I think it's kind of coming later. Like, I feel like when it came out, people were like, about it because found footage. And then it's like now people are like giving found footage more of a shot. They're wanting to go back and see some of these things. It seems like more people are kind of going in the direction of really liking it. And I like parts of it. There were some things that I just like, it's not my favorite, I guess, like subgenre of found footage. So, but I know that a lot of people really, at least in the groups that I talk to, like really love creep. So I'm not surprised that it was on a list just in general, because it does seem to get love from certain people. So
for me, found footage, if you're going to have a found footage movie and you want me to be invested, it has to be perfect. And I know it's super mainstream, but like I love Cloverfield. I think Cloverfield's great. But there are underground like found footage films I think are great. Fraser Park Recut I think is awesome. I think that film is really good. Found footage film. What was the one that we just watched, Mom? With the girls and the guys that go down no, the one where they go down in the cave.
I don't.
As Above, So Below.
As Above, So Below. That's top 10 for me.
Yeah, I do like As Above, So Below a lot.
That's a great one. Yeah.
But for me, like, what I don't like is when people start doing found footage and it's not even like to be found footage. Like they just wanted to have somebody running with a camera, but there's not like that actual found footage aspect to it. You know what I mean? Like they did it as more like a stylistic choice than a storytelling choice. That's when it kind of bothers me. Like if you want to have a good found footage film, it needs to be found footage for the story, not for the style.
I feel like found footage is so easy to make. I feel like that's why we have so many, is because it's such a
lower budget.
You can just get your iPhone out and make one.
Exactly. So I feel like that's like the trend that people are hopping on. And I'm not saying like good for you, like that you're doing it. Like if that's what you do and execute it, awesome. But like some aren't just not for me. It makes me sick sometimes with like the shakiness. But then there's some that are completely amazing. Like Hell House, the first one. I was completely taken back how creepy that movie was and how much it scared me. Like I didn't even want to walk upstairs.
Our friend Gabby is obsessed from Podcast in the Woods. She's a huge Hell House fan. If you got to talk to somebody about like that is her. Whenever I think of Hell House, I automatically think of Gabby because she just has such a passion. It's like it's almost inspiring, her passion for that film. So, and it's funny. I was pointing at Ashley because I took her to see Cloverfield when she was pregnant for our son. And we were watching that in the theater.
I was I hate this because I got like motion sickness almost, and I was like, this is horrible. But like I watched it years later, and now I love it. But
after that was a bad day in Kennytown, man. She was not happy that I took her to see that movie while she was pregnant.
You did not get to pick the movies for a long time, I bet. I bet you she was like,
no. I still don't get to pick the movie. I'm married. What are you talking about?
I will say this, one other note on creep. I think that one thing that it does do very, very well is one of the things that we always go back to with found footage is like, why are we still filming? And I think that this is a really solid concept as far as why do we start filming? Why do we continue filming? Like there's a logical path for the filming, and that's definitely a strength because there are so many where there's a lot of really great things about it, but it should have just been a third person film. It shouldn't have been found footage because the camera holding onto a camera at that point doesn't make sense. So it does do that really, really well.
Agree.
Yeah. No, 100% agree.
Yeah. There's a couple of slashers that were mentioned. I was going to put.
So I do want to say there may be points where, Ashley, for those that don't know, Ashley's at work.
Yes.
And
I took an early break.
So there may be a time where Kenley comes down in here and I'll have to take care of her.
No, you're fine.
But I just feel like I'm being rude if I'm just like, hey, hold on.
Oh, no. You're fine.
Yeah.
No
I am
worries.
being dad tonight because mom's at work.
No worries.
The burning.
Yes.
I originally sent that to you, Angel. I was like,
you did.
I'm going to pick Cropsy. And then I was like,
yep, you did. Yep.
It was such a struggle. I wanted to pick Roman too.
Oh, I'm
And
glad you didn't
Intruder.
pick Roman. The Intruder, that was one that somebody commented, I think, when I posted about this. So that one's come up a few times.
Mm-hmm.
Tourist
So-
Trap. Is that only
Yes.
PG?
Yeah.
It is PG.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't
they didn't
think I
even have
realized.
PG-13 back then, did they? Like
Yeah.
that-
Oh, that's why.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, like, I saw Tourist Trap for the first time on Fox 36 Toledo when I was a kid at like 2:00 in the afternoon. And it scared me so
Yeah, that's a
bad.
good one.
It's so
So good.
weird. It's
It
so
is.
It's
weird.
weird.
You're
Yeah,
a
But
I
look at-
didn't realize it was PG though.
Yeah, 100% PG. Good call, Nathan. That's a great choice.
I haven't
Ooh,
seen
Dr. Giggles.
Dr.
too.
Giggles.
Yeah. Dentist movie.
Mm.
Mhm.
It's yeah.
Wait, is that Dr. Giggles? That's the
No.
dentist, right? Or am
No.
I
I
wrong?
think so,
on that?
yeah.
Is he a dentist or is he I don't even that was like 92 when it came out and I
I
feel
haven't
like
seen that one.
I know.
Wait, I think I might be thinking of The Dentist.
Yeah, there's
Like the movie The Dentist.
wait,
My
let's see,
bad.
The Hitcher. That's a good one. So
Mhm.
The scene in the restaurant in The Hitcher when he's got his finger gun under the table. Amazing scene.
so good.
tension. Yes.
Ironically, this one was on my list, but I changed it last minute because The Collector is a fantastic
I
film.
love The Collector.
The
Love
Collector
it.
is so good.
Yes.
I also really liked the second one, and I keep like you hear these whispers, been hearing whispers for like years that they're gonna do a third, but I love The Collector. That's a great
It's
one.
official. The Collected has
The
officially
Collected.
been canceled.
Oh, it has.
Josh Stewart said that they're not doing it.
They're not gonna do another
That's
one.
sad. That's a sad.
I
That is
know.
sad.
So, I think that could have been a great trilogy.
Mhm.
I 1,000%. And it's so unique on the
Yeah.
slasher front. Like it's so different from
Yeah.
like
It kept
anything
me-
else.
On the edge of my seat the entire time.
Oh my! I know.
Yeah, same.
It
The
also
Collected,
hits like
the collection part 2 is the collection, right?
yes.
Mhm.
One of the best openings in horror history.
Oh
Agreed.
yeah, it's
The
brutal.
rave scene.
It's so good though. Well, and I feel like that in general, both of those movies, they hit different tiers of fear.
Mhm.
It's not like
Mhm.
it's just this one thing that may or may not get everybody. It's like there is something to scare everybody in both of
Mhm.
them, I feel like.
Yeah.
That's a really good one.
Yeah.
Sleepaway Camp
Yeah.
was really good.
Yes.
Eat shit and live, Bill.
Midnight Movie, I don't know that one.
Mm-mm.
Never seen that one
I
either.
feel like I think that one's on my list
The
to watch.
Hills Run Red.
I think that was on. It's on either Tubi
It's
or
a bloody slasher. I'm interested.
That's it.
Yeah.
Ashley's in.
Says you know way more slashers than I do. I don't even know most of these.
I don't even know any of these that are coming in, but
I don't either. I know Valentine and Lover's Lane.
Yeah.
Late-
We might be talking about Valentine again.
We may.
Oh. Dark Ride. I don't know that one.
no. I think is that like an amusement park one? I think.
Sounds
I
like
don't
it
know.
could be. So I've seen this one. This is a found footage slasher.
And it has this has appearances from Kane Hodder and Robert Englund in it.
And what's her name from Poltergeist? The psychic medium.
Tangina.
Yeah.
Tangina.
That's it. She's in that. She's in that too. Terminator.
Terminator.
That's right.
Already done.
Pair of Clowns 1 and 2. I haven't seen those. X-Ray. I don't know that one either.
Hmm.
And The Strangers. Those are good.
I'm
Yeah.
always so weird about watching hospital movies.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet.
I hate watching hospital movies with Ashley. Like I hate it. It sucks, dude. Like I'll be all entertained and she'll be like, "Oh, so that's how we do a CPAP now? That's what we do. This is how we're doing this now. Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. Nice oxygen mask, guys. I'm like, Ashley, please.
It drives me nuts. I'm like, come on.
No way.
Anytime a hospital scene's coming up, I'm like, fuck.
I gotta get
It's
something
the
to
same
eat.
with you and guitars. I couldn't even say that word. You're like, they're not playing that right.
Oh yeah, nice G chord, guys. Yeah, okay.
You're
Yeah,
just as
makes
bad.
sense.
You're just as bad.
I would have no idea.
Satan's Little Helper I've seen. I don't think I've seen Amusement. Maybe that's the park one. Jordana.
Yeah.
Amusement.
Isn't Satan's Little Helper like older?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll think Castellar and Nathan are both like huge slasher fans.
Yeah,
So, like whenever I have
clearly.
any type of like
Yeah.
whenever I have any type of like slasher conversations or slasher questions, those are two of the people I always reach out to are Nathan and Castellar.
Top 10.
Yeah.
Oh, see, Nene agrees with you too, Mom.
See, I need a list. I need a list of ones that I have.
Yeah, because I've never. I'm not super into slashers. I've seen a bunch, but these are like crazy. I haven't seen.
I love slashers, and I feel like completely out of my. I'm like, I don't know what these are.
So my first one is actually one that just came out in 2022, and I'm going underrated for this one because I feel like it came out and like nobody talked about it, and I didn't understand why. And it's called it's a Shudder original called Who Invited Them.
Yes, I love.
Did you see that one?
Is that with the couple that moves?
Yeah. So it's and one of the things, so like one of my favorite under like subcategory of slashers is like home invasion stuff. Home invasion stuff is so scary to me.
Yes.
Like so scary.
Yeah.
And there's not really that much of it. There's a few, obviously, like Strangers, Hush, we know a bunch of those. But I think that like, or a couple of those, but like there's not really that many. And this one got me, this one made me so uncomfortable. The short synopsis about a family that moves into a house after this big increase in pay. This guy gets like a promotion or something. And then they have this party to like showcase their new place. And this couple shows up that they've never met before. And it tells them that they're neighbors, and they end up staying all throughout the night and partying with them. And then it gets dark and twisted and weird. And it was really good. And I could not believe when after it came out on Shudder that more people weren't talking about it.
Okay.
I loved it. The first time I watched it, I was like,
yeah,
what is this? And you really don't see it coming. Like it's so weird, and like it makes you feel so uncomfortable.
Yeah. The characters like Tom and Sasha are the couple, and the weird couple. They play their parts like you want so badly to trust them, but there's like something weird pretty early on.
Yeah,
it's so good, and you just feel so bad for the other couple that like live in the house. But that one was really good, and I feel like it's weird not a lot of people are talking about it.
There's no like grape scenes in the movie, is there?
No.
Okay, then I'm good. I'll try.
No.
When you're talking about how it's weird and dark and twisted, I was like, oh no, I don't know. If I
No.
Okay.
Nothing like that. It just goes in a direction that I don't necessarily think is super predictable. Whereas I feel like most slashers are pretty black and white.
Yeah.
Like they're, but I feel
love
like
when they can stump me. Like if I can get stumped, like I don't know what's going to happen. I love that.
Yeah, I think if that's kind of something you like, then you'd probably like this one. It's really good. It's on Shudder, and it came out like I think like last quarter of last year, the end of 2022.
We'll have to check that one out.
I'm gonna add it to our watch list tonight, babe.
Yeah, it's good. I just was surprised more people weren't talking about it. It was like it must have come out around the same time as something else. Is the only thing I can figure, and that's where like all the attention went or whatever.
Yeah, it was like busting out movies like originals. Like there were so many good ones last year, and now that you even bring up Shudder, I think of another one, and I'm going to say it after my second one.
Yeah.
Like you feel so uncomfortable watching it because you feel like, what would you do in that position? Like that's, like the type of like I do. And like just feeling like my face is like this a lot of the time. I'm like, what? That uncomfortable feeling of like, ickiness.
Yeah, and I think it's hard because like you think about like when you interact with strangers that you don't know, and like sometimes naturally you immediately are like, I just feel weird. There's something off. But like I don't think that when they introduced like the beginning of this movie, I don't necessarily think I felt that way. It took like a break, and then by then it's like too late. I don't know. It was just really, really good. I thought the actor and the actress that play the main couple are like phenomenal. Like they were so good at switching between trust them, don't trust them. It was just really, really well done. I like that one a lot. So yeah. So Ashley, what was your second one?
Okay, so actually someone just said it in the chat. It's from 2001, and it's very 2000, very. But it is Cupid from Valentine. I just think that he's brutal, and like I like some of his kills, like the kill in the hot tub where he is using the drill, and then he throws it in,
that one was good.
A lot of his kills are brutal. and just like the message behind it, it's almost hard to watch, you know, like the stuff that happens to him when he was younger.
Yeah.
And then you really wonder, like, is it Jeremy Melton or is it this other weird guy? And like, and you know, in the end, they oh gosh, what's the girl's name that he tried to pin it on?
Yeah.
Where he puts the mask on her and she like falls down the stairs.
Yeah.
What's her name, Ken? Do you know?
He was kissing, right?
Yeah.
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 What's her name?
Yeah, the one. Yeah.
I can't think of the name, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
You're like, oh my gosh, it was her, and then you see his nosebleed at the end.
The
it's
nosebleed.
Like, oh, it was him.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's still fun. Like I said, you can definitely tell it's a 2000 movie for sure. But I love all the kills. And the mask, I think, is cool. Like, I tried to find that mask and can't find it anywhere. But it's pretty cool looking.
We didn't see that coming episode on it. And that mask, the only place we could find it, it was like $1,500.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, look, I love what we do, but I don't love it that much.
No.
We're not going to spend that much money on a fucking Cupid mask.
No.
That's crazy that it's that much.
I know. Yeah. Like, all you could find was, like, the baby mask from Happy Death Day.
Death Day.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of similar, but I think it's, like,
it's still unique. It's different. Yeah, it's definitely different. I wonder why so much. Maybe they just didn't make that many of them. I can't imagine is that movie just like I don't even feel like a lot of people talk about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah, it's very 2000, but you have to admit, like, the actual like him, he is.
Oh, Cupid's amazing.
Like, that's what I like about it.
He's fantastic.
Yeah.
There's a lot that happens in that story where you're like, what are we doing?
Yeah. I agree. With that.
But I feel like that fits the very 2000 feel.
It does.
1,000% does. I was just thinking the same thing.
Like urban legends and all that came out. It's
I know what you did last summer.
It's all in the same era.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
I'm here for it.
They took all the people that were popular during that time and they just put them in slasher movies. That's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, oh, people will pay to see Jensen Ackles and in a remake later in 2000s, and they'll pay to see like Jennifer Love Hewitt and all these people. Like they're just like they're at their peak, so that's when they put them in movies.
Well, Denise Richards is in
Valentine and Valentine, and
Angel
David Boreanaz. Yeah. Yep. That's true.
Yeah.
No, that's a good one. Cupid is a good one.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Ken, what's your number 2?
I'm back to defending.
He's always on the defense.
My number 1 was the T-800, the Terminator, and my number 2 is another one that I totally feel is a slasher, and it's the Predator. I feel like the Predator has always gotten like that science fiction action, because it's got a lot of big muscles and sweat and guns and all the stuff that makes America. But it really is a horror flick to me. Very scary. And the Predator himself is just absolutely terrifying. Again, hides behind a mask.
Yeah.
Won't stop until it eradicates. No. Yeah. And he's just like the way that he camouflages, the way that he hides with his scenery so he can come out and make his kills. I feel like it's very animalistic, but I feel like slashers have always been very animalistic. Your best slashers are just mindless oafs that just want to kill. That's all they want. Very animalistic in nature. And that's what the Predator is to me. It's just a mindless. I don't want to say mindless like stupid, because he's not. He's not a stupid creature. The Predator is actually extremely intelligent.
Yeah.
But he's just like the only thing is to kill, to cause chaos. And that to me is a slasher. You don't have to use a knife to be a slasher. I look at the first Scream movie. They use a gun in that just as much as they use a knife.
Yeah.
So to me, it's not about like, a slasher cuts things. No, a knife does. I've watched people cut carrots. I don't consider that a slasher film. But yeah, I think that the Predator is another one that is just like, when you watch the Predator through the scope of a horror movie and a slasher film, it's quite terrifying. These guys are lied to. They're lied to about their mission. They go in to try to what they think is help this village, when really they're out there trying to eradicate this predator. They're the prey.
Yeah.
And it's such a fantastic movie, and it's such a scary villain. And both of these movies, here's what's even funnier. Like, when I talk about these, I'm not talking about their franchises. I don't think the Terminator is a slasher throughout. You know, I think it gets more science fiction as it goes than even the Predator. I feel like the Predator, as the franchise goes, it falls more into the action science fiction side of things. But that first film to me is just definitely 100% a slasher. And I'll even say, because I don't think as another franchise where as the franchise goes, it becomes a slasher. I don't think the OG Texas Chainsaw is a slasher film.
What do you categorize it as?
Yeah, I just consider it like a home invasion art film. They don't go after Leatherface doesn't go out chasing them. They come to his house.
Right. They always end up there.
In his mind, he's just, doing what he was raised to do.
Yeah.
He's protecting the family. He's doing what, he doesn't go out actively search. Like the Terminator, he's on an active search to eradicate the world of somebody. The Predator, he is actively going out to kill people. Leatherface is just like, let me sit in this chair and make weird faces. Like, and then people show up at his house. He's like, what the fuck? Didn't you see me making faces? Oh, no, I got to put you on a damn fish hook. Son of a bitch. I don't consider Texas Chainsaw the original. I think as that franchise goes, it gets way more into the slasher side of things.
Yeah.
But that first film is more elevated horror to me than anything. Like all the artsy shots throughout. I mean, it starts off with that close up and then it pans out on that body up on the tombstone. And you got look at the dinner scene alone. All the different shots they're doing, like Sally Hardesty and like a close up on her eyes. And they don't
that makes it scarier when they're like on her eyes and she's
I
think those shots make it creepier.
That's like one of my favorite shots here.
There is very little blood and guts and gore in the first Texas Chainsaw. Like it's all about the art. It's all about like when they do things, like they cut away and let you imagine what's happening.
I was just about to say the same thing. Is a lot of people, and I used to do this too until rewatching it much later. But I used to think there was all these things in this film that are not in there, there's the things that I thought I remembered seeing happen. You don't see happen, and that is that's definitely what I would consider an art, is to be able to give the viewers a complete reign with imagination and still be able to have the same impact on pretty much everybody that watched it. That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
And then
and I'm not trying to talk shit because I think that the first Texas Chainsaw, I hate that franchise. I hate it. That first film is so good. Like that first the OG Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I think is one of the top 5 films of all time. Like it's that good to me, but it's just not a slasher. I just don't think that you can categorize it as a slasher because he, like I said, he wears a mask, but it's the thing where he doesn't actively go out and try to hurt people. These people are coming to his house. He's like, I just want to sit, watch the movie. There's literally a part where he's just sitting on his chair, like
hanging out,
having fun. Look at my watch. And then they come and he's like, God,
he was waiting for them. He wanted them.
Yeah.
Well, that's what he did.
He was bored.
Yeah.
Do you feel like nothing on my fish hook in a while?
Yeah.
Y'all call it a meat hook all you want. All right, that's a fish hook. All right. Ain't no meat hook. It's a fish hook.
Big ass fish
hook. I've been fishing.
Big fish hook.
I've been fishing.
You'll have that on them big jobs.
Do you think the 2000 remake would be more slasher-esque because of, I mean, even though it's the same, setting because they stumble upon them, but do you feel like it's more like?
I think that the only reason I'll say that I think 03 is more slasher-esque is because Arlie Ermey pretty much makes them, he guides them there.
He does.
He essentially handcuffs and drags them
and
to the house
them
to be murdered.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't an accident.
Right. Yeah. He absolutely caused that chain of events to happen to bring them there to kill them. And you can make the argument that in 74 you had the hitchhiker, the brother that did the same thing. But once he got out of that van and ran away, they made the choices after that. Arlie Ermey took them to their back door. It was like, this is where you're going. This is what you're going to do.
I'm going to throw this one up. The OG Texas Chainsaw.
Oh, Ashton, what the? Which is fun. You know what? 10 years ago, I'd have been super pissed by that statement.
I was going to say, I defended that to you for so long.
She did. And we just watched the remake again for a Versus episode.
Yeah.
And
right. It's not
Who
as
is
bad.
that?
Oh, hi.
Hi, Kenley. Hi.
Is mommy working with
my
daddy
goodness.
right now?
That's so cute.
Yeah, I hated that movie when it first came out. I was just being cynical. I think it's because the first one meant so much to me that I was just like, oh, they're gonna remake a classic and ruin it.
And
I
ruin
never,
it.
I was just being a cynical kid, a dumbass kid. And
Yeah.
then like we rewatched it for our verses, and I was like, this is so good.
I love
But
it.
you
I
just
like
see
that
it in
one.
Child's Play.
Yeah, I did.
I think Texas Chainsaw is one of the best remakes that's out there. I think it
It's up
really,
there.
It's
really-
definitely up there.
I
Okay.
thought it was good. When he's wearing the boyfriend's face.
Oh my
Yes.
God,
The
no.
best moment of that whole
Yeah.
film.
Yeah.
even like the Hitcher scene, like it kind of like you're not like anticipating that, and then when they do the shot through the head, I was like,
Yes. That's so
what?
awesome.
I
She
know.
like pulls it out of from where the gun, and I'm like, what is
And when she
happening?
I
delivers
was not
the
expecting that to
and
happen.
she's like
at all.
crying, you can just feel her emotion, and you don't think that it's gonna happen that quick, and then
Right.
it happens. It's
Well,
crazy.
I think that like
Yeah.
you're talking about remakes, and something I want to say real quick that as an honorable mention for me, because Ashley and I just watched it, and not only do I think it's a great slasher, but I think it could possibly be one of the best remakes I've ever seen, and that's 2021's Slumber Party Massacre.
Oh, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen
It is
that one.
so good. Like
Mhm.
that
It's
movie
very campy.
it has 100% ranking on Rotten Tomatoes. Like it is a fantastic. It's one of my. It would probably be in my top 5 best remakes of all time,
Yeah.
just because of how. There's only one major issue I have with it, and I don't want to talk about it because we're about to record an episode on it.
Yeah.
But overall, like the way in Ashley and I, we both share the same opinion on this. If you want to make a good remake, do not carbon copy the original format.
No, yeah. Totally
Take the
agree.
original idea, make it your own, and
Mhm.
deliver your own things. And the Slumber Party Massacre did exactly that. It gave you like the driller killer is a huge part of it, but the way that he's a part of it in this one is not just like, hey, we're having a slumber party at our house with
Right.
Maui Wowie. You know, let's the
Mhm.
way they did it was very intelligent.
Yeah.
Please don't take my glasses off. Daddy's trying to work and I can't see. Take my hat off instead. Okay.
Very nice.
Cute. I'm gonna hit a couple of these really quick before we jump into Jordana's. Bad Dreams is good. Dream Warriors.
Never seen that one.
No,
I haven't seen that
never
one.
heard of it.
Reeker 1?
Hmm.
I don't know that one. Dang.
I know. I
need a
feel
list.
lame.
Silent Night, the remake.
Yeah.
Alone in the Dark.
with
Yeah,
Dr.
Jonathan Pleasant.
Lee.
I haven't seen that one either.
Oh, I have like
I
10
love Donald
on my
Pleasant.
list.
I do too.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do too. I love that man.
Scream through. Oh,
I
I'm on board with anything Scream related.
I was gonna say Roman.
No.
I know. I was like, I won't do that. I defend him all the time, and I just know everyone stands with it, so it's just wasting.
You
my
know,
breath.
our mutual friend Scott is a Roman supporter.
Yes.
He thinks that he's one of the better Ghostfaces.
I'm a huge Scream 3 fan, but I just think one of the weakest parts of that movie is Roman.
Is Roman.
Every time he's on screen, I'm like, shut up.
I
Shut
really
up.
enjoyed like it going to that he was the one that kind of like the backstory and like the whole
Yeah.
dialogue between him and Sid. I thought it was one of her best performances and like the most emotion that we got out of her.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole franchise, because you actually see her break down, be vulnerable. You know what I mean? Like I
understand what you're saying. Yeah, for sure.
there's something
I'm
about
telling you guys know my Scream 7 opening prediction, right?
Yeah,
Yes. I'm here for that one.
that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yes, I think is the answer for this one. Underrated slasher characters in underrated slashers, maybe.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes is the answer. The Hatchet.
Mhm.
Dorothy is the lady That's the one from Valentine.
Yes. Thank you, Nathan. I knew he would know.
Charlie's Farm.
Hmm.
Jordana's like, I give up.
Just send all these to like message me on my
the amount of
They
screenshots
should show up
that we're
on
taking
video.
right now.
I was gonna pull my camera out and be like, okay, one,
The
two.
Pool. I haven't seen that. Oh, I've seen this one. Oh, and Nathan agrees. Predator. 100% slasher in the jungle.
Yeah.
Jungle Slasher.
Split second.
Sounds like a band. Jungle Slasher.
Laid to Rest 1 and 2. The Great Chrome Skull.
No, thank you.
Oh, somebody else. Rick from Horror Fan. What's up, Rick? If you're still here.
Hey, what's up,
Chrome Skull.
Oh, look this guy up. He sounds pretty Chrome Skull.
From earlier talking about Texas Chainsaw. Happy birthday to me.
Oh yeah, happy birthday to Musical. Nathan loves that one too.
Psycho 2. That is a fantastic example of a sequel in
It is.
general, no
Yeah,
matter
it
the subgenre.
So you talk about underrated sequels? That's up there.
That is up there. Yeah. I haven't seen Motel Hell. We saw that one.
Oh, I saw that one. That one's a
Oh, yeah.
weird 80s, but it's
Was it?
a good weird 80s.
Never considered Texas Chain. I have never thought about.
Oh.
She must really be thinking about it.
Yes.
You cut out there for a second, Angel. We lost you.
I know my cat is laying on my keyboard and pulled out my internet plug.
Oh.
He's moved.
Goodness.
He likes the heat from the laptop, so he
Mm.
lays up on it. I'm sorry. I love you very much, but
Baby
that was
dog.
obnoxious.
Baby
Okay.
dog feels.
Yeah, but I mean, that's like a revelation. I never really thought of.
I know. I feel like I need to rewatch it with that lens because I'd never thought about that.
Baby dog feels.
Oh goodness, Kendall.
Baby dog feels.
Candyman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Candyman.
Slumber
Me
Party
too.
Remake is really good. The Alphabet Killer.
Yes.
I have not seen that either.
Jesus.
Fade to Black. I think I've seen
That's
that
a
one.
bad film.
A sad slasher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Popcorn. I've heard a lot of things about Popcorn.
Me too. One thing I just learned about popcorn: if you put your straw in the popcorn when you go to the theater, and then you push the
Oh
butter
my
and you
God.
go in the straw first, and the butter will get to the bottom. That's what we're talking about, right? Popcorn.
No, you did not just learn that.
As soon as this is how you can tell you guys are married because as soon
I
as you
know.
started talking, she went, "Oh God."
Yeah. Oh, for fuck's sake! Thank God I'm at work.
All right, Jordana, what's your second?
So-
Underrated.
My second, Ashley actually said the name earlier, but I picked Brenda from Urban Legend because I love the 90s slashers. I think that was kind of in the shadows because of Scream, and I know what we did last summer. I really loved the cast. I loved her, the reasoning behind why she did it. Like an urban legend happened to her boyfriend, and she's getting revenge. I love Rebecca Gayheart. I didn't expect her at all when I was watching it, to be completely honest. But I think she's completely underrated, and I love how they left it open. I never watched the sequels.
I haven't seen. Yeah,
Assume that she doesn't come back
probably not.
in that. But
That
I
was
love
another thing they did
she
during those
doesn't.
times, like the late 90s, early 2000s. Like they would do these movies like that, and then they would just like move on for the next one.
Yeah.
There's
A whole
no-
new cast, whole new place.
a whole new story, everything. Like
Yeah.
nothing
That
really-
movie is literally why I still check my back seat when
Yeah.
I leave at night.
Yes.
Is because of that movie. Like
It's
I
so
seriously, it freaks me out.
me too. And even
Yeah,
like
when-
the light thing too. Like I know a lot of cars they have like the automatic lights on, but before seeing that, I would be like, no, don't turn your lights on. Like completely scared from this movie.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
Well, and they set it up so good, right? Because going into it when you've never seen it, like as a first watch, you also don't trust the gas attendant or whatever. You're like, "Oh,
Yes.
girl, get the car and leave." Like
Mr.
that's
Brad Dourif
immediate.
Brad
himself.
Dourif.
Yes,
so
you just
good.
immediately are like, you know. And then she gets in the car, and then he says what he says, and it's like, "Oh shit!" Like I had no idea that was gonna happen. That was good. That was.
I
really
love
good.
that delivery when he's screaming it and the rain's coming
And the
down. and
rain,
like,
it's
He's
dark.
like
Oh.
trying to stutter. He's
Yes.
stuttering out.
Oh.
you feel so bad for him because like he's trying so hard and he
To
can't get
help.
it out.
He's trying to
Yeah.
save her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
I
trying to do the
know.
right thing.
Yeah.
Poor
And
guy.
That's why I don't help people.
You know, fuck him. And on
Yeah.
top
Enjoy
of
your ride,
like,
lady.
how awesome
Thanks
Urban
for the
Legend.
ride, lady. That's what
You
you're
have-
reminding me of.
Robert Englund, you have Danielle Harris, you have so many amazing like cameos.
Yeah.
I just think it's such a, I mean, I know it's talked about, but I just feel like her as, you know, as the killer isn't really talked about that much.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I just
and
like how
it's
she
overshadowed
flips.
because it's
Yes,
well,
and
like
she's
you
so
come on,
creepy.
it's overshadowed because Scream happened, and then you had all these people that
Yes.
were biting on that
It's-
type
yeah.
of humor and that type of fear, and
Yeah.
I Know What You Did Last Summer is the next one that people an urban legend gets pushed when you're talking to people that aren't horror fans.
Yeah.
I feel like even not horror fans know
No.
Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yep.
Some might not know urban legend.
Exactly.
It
And
gets
there's-
lost. Yeah.
There's so many, or like back to what you were saying, Ashley, too, when she switches and there's this one shot where her eyes,
They're so big.
they're so big. And Rebecca Gayheart is like, she was like my crush, like jawbreaker. She's gorgeous.
Yes.
But when
Mhm.
she flips and she's
Jawbreaker.
doing her psycho monologue and then her eyes, I was like, damn, like
Yeah.
I don't wanna mess with her.
Actually, Jawbreaker would be like an honorable mention for me. I love Jawbreaker. That's a good one.
It's a good movie.
I did
I
too.
forgot-
I
like-
used to watch that all the time when I was a
Yeah.
kid. All the
Me
time.
too. And I like secretly loved Rose McGowan, and I know she was a mean girl, and I never wanted to be
But
like
still,
a mean
yeah.
girl, but I wanted to have her like badassery, and I was like, I love this lady.
Once we got to the Marilyn Manson necrophilia scene, I was out. I was like, I can't do this. I can't watch this shit.
That was kind of weird.
It
I
would
didn't think I
kind of
finished
weird.
it.
That's
I was like,
true.
what are we?
That's true.
What are we doing?
But I didn't even like with that. I didn't even like. I kind of just didn't even care because it's such a good story, and
Yeah.
the ending, just getting her back.
Yeah.
So good.
So
Yeah,
good.
that one is really good.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about that one either.
I
don't feel
know,
like.
and it's such a good movie. It's like a cult classic.
I like forgot about it for the longest time, and
Yeah.
then like someone brought it up recently, and I was like, oh my gosh, I used to watch that all the time.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. With the
Yeah.
classic 80s or 90s fashion, like
Oh my
I loved
god.
all the bright colors, just like the visuals of it.
Mm-hmm.
That iconic walking down the hallway scenes that we get
Yes.
multiple times. So
Yep.
good.
And the Donnas in every single 90s, every band that played in high school was the
Yep.
Donnas.
Yeah. No, that's a good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my second one is I wrote the year down because I couldn't remember. It's newer, 2017. This is from 2017. I picked newer ones, I guess. It's a movie called Tragedy Girls. Anybody else seen that one? Am I the only one?
Mm-mm.
So the short of it is it's about these two best friends who decide that they want to be serial killers. So they capture the most notorious serial killer, which is played by Kevin Durant, and they essentially learn to become like they're like, oh, they come up with these plans and things don't always go great, and then he, it's like a really fun kind of over the top story about like essentially not only being serial killers but being best friends.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's like the Scream lover in me or if this is just something I just like in general, but I really love dynamic duos in these situations. So like my first was essentially presumably a couple, and then and then now like these two best friends, but it ends up just being this like really wild ride of like almost, I hate to say it because it is a slasher and they are trying to be murderers, but it's essentially like a more modern coming of age kind of slasher where it's like these two girls in high school, they're their whole lives are about to change, they're very different people, they live different lives, but they have each other, and it's like it's just this really funny, like I said, like kind of over the top. It's also got, and I can't remember his name, the guy that plays PETA in Hunger Games. He's in it. But yeah, it's like a super fun. I don't even remember where I watched it. I know my friend Tasha and I covered it for a podcast episode like last year sometime because it was just like a really fun one. But I definitely recommend it if you guys like slashers because that one is like very fun and just I don't know. I just really loved it.
Yeah,
So
I'd love to check that one out too.
Really stupid saying this, but I started watching that because I know that we talked about it, Angel.
We talked about it, yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. And you said like Scott recommended it, but I started it and I fell asleep, not because I was, bored with it, but I was just tired. But it was really good because I remember like the opening scene was a car, right? On the bridge. Okay. So yes, I did. And
it's so good.
I need to finish it then.
I literally laughed my ass off. Like it's and I don't even like funny horror movies pretty much of any kind. Like they typically are like bottom of the totem pole for me, but I enjoyed the hell out of that one.
Yeah.
It was really fun. Yeah, Scott, I don't know how Scott feels about it, but I know that it was on their poll. That's what it was. It was on their poll for like their new episode because user or viewer's choice or whatever, listener's choice or whatever. So but it was an option. And my friend Tasha texted me and she was like, go vote for Tragedy Girls. And I was like, oh my God, I forgot about Tragedy Girls. And then I messaged both of y'all and I was like, I'm changing my other one to Tragedy Girls. No, it's a good one. I really liked it. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere. It probably is. But I really liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Exorcist 3.
Oh.
That's a total supernatural slasher.
It is.
The Gemini Killer is totally a slasher in that film. I
haven't really thought about it. Yeah.
I mean, Exorcist 3 is great, but
yeah.
I've always considered it like a supernatural slasher to me because it's definitely got.
I've never thought about it as a slasher.
No.
From like the Gemini Killer, like even when he possesses the girl, like he goes and tries to cut the other girl's head off, and like he's a total. It's Brad Dourif being the Gemini Killer. I think he's a total. If they needed to carry on that story and see him like his story. And we know that he's a slasher because when he got arrested and put in the mental institution, he did that because he had cut the head off that boy. Like that. Yo, this is Ashley. What's up, motherfucker? She just hid me somewhere.
The Stepfather was so good. I loved that one.
I didn't even think of that one.
I didn't think of that one either.
Did you answer the phone like that, babe?
Yeah, that's how I answer the phone.
Yo, it's Ashley, mother. What can I get for you?
What do you want?
What you need?
You need me to pull the plug? You need me to plug something in, mother?
Because that's what I do.
Lost After Dark. I don't know that one.
Man, the
Prowler. That's a good one.
I wanted to put that one on the list too because
that's a good one.
So good.
That is a good one. Alice, Sweet
Nathan's
Alice,
favorite.
of course.
Yeah. Man,
The Surgeon.
I feel like I saw a trailer for that one and that looked really, really good. Or maybe that was
5. I don't know that one. Clown House.
That's a good one. I like Clown House. It's an older one.
See No Evil 2. I liked the first one. I don't think I've seen the second one.
I'm not a huge clown guy. Like, I love it. I love Terrifier. But besides that, like, it takes a lot for me to get into a clown movie. I feel like that's just one of the most overused type of cliches in horror films is clowns.
Yeah.
It's just,
There's like 4 solid clown films that I'll get down with, and that's Terrifier, well, like 1 and 2, It, Clown by Eli Roth.
By Eli Roth. I was going to say that if you didn't say that one.
I loved that one. I loved like the brutality, and I thought it was going to be
So
super
scary.
like cheesy. I ended up loving that one, and then of course Killer Clowns from Outer Space. But I mean,
Space.
Yeah.
that's about it. But like, I feel like it is an overused.
Yeah.
I don't know. It wouldn't be really a clown movie, but I think one of the best clown scenes of all time would be Poltergeist. I think that's one of the best clown scenes of all time.
Well, and that's what happened, right? They had like a couple of scary movies that had scary clowns, and it scared people. And they were like, you know what we should do? More of that. And then the amount of horror clown movies. I mean, Hell House is a horror clown movie.
Yeah.
But it's just it's using it in a unique enough way to make it scary again, because there is like an oversaturation of it. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
The whole movie wasn't like clowns, but
100% it wasn't. Right.
Those scenes were the ones that planted my ass on the couch. I had to pee so bad. I'm like, I am not getting off the couch. Like, I don't even care.
Right.
I will pee and I will explain it to my husband what happened.
He'll understand, okay?
Right.
Just wear a diaper next time.
The dog pees
Then
on
you
the
don't have to
couch.
worry about it.
No, it's okay.
Right.
But man, I mean, I don't know why it got me so bad, but it's just
It's subtle. That's why. It's so
Yeah.
subtle. The movements, the showing, I mean, all of that stuff is so subtle.
Mhm.
I haven't seen See No Evil 2. I've only seen the first one.
That's the Kane movie, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I haven't seen 2 either. I've seen 1.
I Madman.
I'm Madman.
I've seen this one.
Tenebrae.
really
Tenebrae is good.
That's a good one. Cherry Falls.
That's right around the urban legend time, if I'm thinking correctly.
Oh, that's probably maybe. Oh,
Am I right, Nathan? Is that right around the urban legend Valentine, like right around that era?
Was Brittany Murphy in that one, or is that a different one? Because I feel like I've heard.
Oh no, I think
this
you're
sounds
right.
familiar.
That does sound familiar.
I think she was in it, and I think that was like the appeal of wanting to watch it, but I never got around to watching it.
Yeah.
Mr. Frost.
Oh, Jeff Goldblum, I'm in because that man is. Whew.
Yeah.
Drop
I don't know
that
that
second.
one.
Yes, he is. Especially in The Fly.
Oh my god! Even though The Fly grosses me out because it just
It's so good though.
I love it so much. I
It's
thought I
so
was gonna
good.
hate it, but I
Yeah.
like
Why don't
I
you marry
fell
him,
in
Ashley?
love with it.
Who's that sexy?
What?
I said, why don't you just go and marry him if he's that sexy?
Oh, I might.
with that attitude, she might.
Yeah,
She'll put
I
it
just
on you.
might.
Yeah, because you're going to walk up to him and he's going to look at you and he's going to go, damn. Then he's going to look at me and be like, that's a huge pile of shit.
Whatever. Oh my gosh, stop it.
He's going to Jurassic Park me, damn it.
Resurrection, as in the new one, right? That came out with Rebecca Hall and Tim Roth. That Resurrection or something
It's
else?
an Easter movie?
I've never heard of that, but I'm intrigued by an Easter
Is
movie.
it that creepy bunny looking thing?
Oh, I have no idea. What is
Jesus
Resurrection?
back,
What is
and
that
he's
one?
one?
ready to
Let me look
slash.
this up. Resurrection.
Sissy was fun. That's very that's like college level tragedy girls. It was very like mean girl friend group slasher. And the girl that plays Sissy was in an episode of one of my favorite episodes of Channel Zero. She was in the No Way House or No Way Out House or whatever it was called.
No
Oh.
end.
No End House. Thank you. I knew you would
Yeah.
know. Yeah, that's
that
what it
was one of my favorite
Fantastic.
segments.
That was
Yeah,
our
so-
favorite season of Channel Zero.
That's my favorite too. So she plays the best friend in that one. And
Yes.
that's who
Okay.
plays the main character in Sissy. Sissy was good. I liked that one.
That was going to be my honorable mention because I don't know what that movie had on me, but I loved that movie.
It was good.
And it was not what I was expecting. You don't even, what happens, you don't expect from what it's presented as.
I totally agree.
And there's some brutal kills that
Brutal.
there's one, and if anyone has seen it, you know what I'm talking about. I was like, audibly, I was like, holy fuck. Like,
I think I did the
so
same thing. Yeah. No, that one surprised me because I thought it was going to be very run of the mill, and it ended up being pretty unique.
Yeah, pretty different.
And honestly, just being honest, I love movies that explore how shitty female friendships are because like they're like we make jokes about like, you know, women being catty and women arguing with their friends, but like it is really hard sometimes to be friends with other women. And so like when these horror movies dive into that, I'm like, exactly.
Yeah.
And this
and when
was
they
like,
do, I always look at Ashley and I'm like, see, you guys suck.
Wow.
I think there's like a poor connection coming from
I know.
You want me to remove him? I think I know.
Can we
how.
remove him from this?
or this could be the
Ken, I
start.
think you're driving through a tunnel. It's only you.
This could be the start of a really good slasher movie about women against men.
That's
Yeah.
there you go. We
I
can
want
do
to
it
mess with
some
Ashley.
footage style since we're recording it.
I mean,
Ken, you don't stand a chance.
she knows what masks are right. She knows those tools. So
And she knows where I live.
That's true. When a Stranger Calls. Oh yeah, that's classic.
Mhm.
That's
that's a good one.
What do you guys think of the remake of that one?
Never
When
seen it.
Stranger Calls? No, you never watched it?
It's so I don't think you can pull it off with
No.
technology now because
No.
it was scary when it was a phone, when you had a phone line.
With no caller
Right.
ID.
with no caller D, like the only thing in your home that couldn't move and the twist and everything that happens, I don't think the reason why it was remade is beyond me, because I don't even remember what happens in it.
You can't. Well, so my biggest complaint about it is I am like the biggest Black Christmas fan. Like Black Christmas is one of my favorite movies. It's one of my favorite Christmas movies. It's one of my favorite horror movies.
You're talking about the
And,
OG
like,
Black Christmas, right?
The Black Christmas. Are you kidding me right now?
There's so many people that like the when did that one come out? In
06?
06?
No.
Oh God.
Yeah.
There's another one too. There's another one that came out in like 2019 or something.
Which
Garbage.
I don't even know why they called that like that. It has nothing.
Yeah, that one
because
should have
they're
been
in a
called Black
sorority,
That's
like,
what
that's the
everybody
only thing.
says. So because that is like, I'm like a huge advocate for remakes, but because Black Christmas is like so near and dear, I never saw a remake, and then I started doing a remake series, and we got to December, and it was like, fuck, now I have to watch this. Oh my God, it was unwatchable. I hate it. The 2006 one is the one we did.
It's
When they, I'm down. I think
scenes-
it's violent. I think it's gory. I think I think a lot of the gore and the violence in it is great.
But some of the stuff could have been cut out. Like it was unnecessary for like the
Yeah.
wow factor. It was unnecessary.
When the mom rapes the son,
Yeah.
at that point I'm out. I can't do this anymore.
Well, and
And
one
so
of the
many
things-
eyeball eatings. Like
that didn't make any sense.
I know.
No. I think like, and one of the things with that one in particular is like, we don't need background. Like when you're given a killer, especially in like slasher scenarios, like we live like the whole point is the story, right? Like that's what Scream is. It's a build up to the reveal so we can figure out why the hell all these people are dying. But like with Black Christmas, the original, that was what made it so unnerving. Was like we didn't know anything.
Nothing.
Yeah.
right.
No resolution,
his
no
eyeball
sense
once.
of safety.
Right.
Nothing. Yeah, I hated the remake. It was so bad.
I liked the remake minus the mom part, because when I saw that, I was like, why?
Yeah,
Like
there's
the
no
overly
reason.
yellow skin, like
The jaundice, I know, and you can
jaundice.
make someone hate their mother in a different way other than taking advantage of
Well,
their son. Like,
you could have just went with her and the boyfriend killing the dad. That
murder
could've
his
been
dad. The only
Leave it
one that
alone.
was
Yeah,
nice
that would have
to
been
him.
fine.
exactly. But
Like
but
you
like
already
you said,
see like
Jen,
that nothing like yeah.
the gore though, I loved the gore. I loved the cookie cutter scene. I know
That one was kind of wicked. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Oh
I
my
can.
gosh. The
and when
skin
cop
cookies.
walks in and he's like, "What the hell?"
What
and then he's just sitting there dipping the fucking skin cookie in the milk. I was like, "Oh my God."
Skin cookies.
I just like I said, like the biggest thing for me is like a lot of people, like some people's triggers are like kids being killed, some is animals being killed, some are, people how do I want to word it? People unlifing themselves. Like that's some people's trigger. Self-harm. For me, it's sexual assault and rape. And like that is the trigger for me that like it makes me super uncomfortable and it makes me like just I don't. And again, there are people. I'm not saying that you're wrong if you like the rape revenge story or great revenge story. I'm sorry, I forgot YouTube. If like the great revenge story is your thing, like that's cool. You know what I mean? Like maybe you live vicariously through it. Maybe something's happened in your life and that
that
gives you
resonates.
some form of some therapy for yourself. I'm not saying you're a bad person or anything, but like watching that for me is sickening. And
I can't do it either.
If somebody came up to you and was like, I've murdered someone, I could be like, you know what? You may have had a reason to do that because if someone came in my house and it was them or my kids, it's going to be them. But if you came up to me and said, hey, I've raped somebody, there's never a reason.
No.
You can never give me an excuse as to why you've done what you've done. I just think that you're
Totally
the lowest
agree.
life form. So those are the things for me that I'm out. I'm completely out. I'm done when that happens. And like that in that movie, when that happened, it was a complete unnecessary thing to make people go, oh, I don't need that. You've already done that.
Yeah.
You've already done that enough in the film. You
don't
that
need
was
that.
completely unnecessary.
No.
And that's what like kind of shocked me was like I was completely fine with the amount of gore and the amount of like you said eyeballs and like that type of weirdness. But when they threw that in there, I was like, I don't understand. I mean, there's a lot of movies that are made that I don't understand with the premise of exactly what it is, like, i.e., Serbian film. I don't get it. Like, I don't understand why. I mean, I just don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
No.
It's kind of like
I know people that have gone through that and grape revenge story thing is like they can't do it either. But I know people that have been through it, and it's like it is a form of therapy for them to watch those people get their comeuppance. It's a way for them to live vicariously through it. And you know, again, whatever you do for yourself to make yourself the best you that you can be, I hope you do that. I hope that you can find ways to power through the things that you've gone through and come out the other side a better person. It's just I'm one of the people that I can't do it. I have daughters, I have a wife, I have good friends, I have, I had a mother, grandparents. Like I can't imagine anybody ever having to live through such an excruciatingly terrible thing. So, that's just something that, as somebody that's a lover of everybody around him, I've been married for 18 years. I have 2 beautiful daughters. I have beautiful best friends that I do, these shows with. And, I don't want to have to think about anybody in my life having to go through such a terrible, tragic thing. And to watch it happen to somebody is just, it makes me sick because it's terrible, 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 terrible.
Yeah, that's one of my things too. I got up and walked out of The Hills Have Eyes 2.
I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's 2 is I think I'm thinking of 2. It has like a really, and then there's movies that when people talk about them, I'm like, well, I'm never going to see that. Like Last House on the Left.
Yep.
Like I'm not, I can't, if it's something that happens in a story in the sense that it's talked about as like a past moment and we don't have to see it, or I can get through all that. But
that's about the part of it I can go is like, if you're going to do it, like have somebody grab somebody and pull them into a closed, a room and shut the door.
Yeah.
That's all I
we
gotta
don't need
see.
to see it.
I
Like it's
know what's
the
happening
closed door
behind that
thing.
door.
I can,
Me and Ashley started watching this movie, and I don't recommend this to anybody. It was called Irreversible. It's a French extremity film. And
yes, it's in reverse, right?
Yes. And it's the grape scene in that is like literally 12 minutes long.
Jesus.
A one shot focused right on it happening. And it's like we shut the movie off. It's like we're fast forwarding, like, oh my God, this is still going. Like what? And it's brutal. It's bad. It's scary. It's gross. It's seriously one of the worst things I've ever seen in 37 years on this planet. And I'm like, why? Like what? It's unnecessary to the point of somebody on set was getting off to this. Like that's how disgusting and unnecessary it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ones like I've read synopsis of like what's going on and like that one. And then there's something about the Johnsons that I think Ari Aster did. Did you guys hear about that one? I think it's like available on YouTube and it's only like 28 minutes, but it's about like this family and like the perfect cookie cutter family. And the boy is like SAing the dad.
Oh.
And then like they show it from like when he was a kid until he gets married. And I'm like, and they're like, oh, this is his best work. And this was what he did when he like, for like film school, like his presentation movie. I don't know what it's called, but people were like, I'm like, why would you even like,
I can't sit through that. Yeah.
Make a movie about it. It's just weird to me that.
And I don't want to sound dark or disgusting. It's bad enough when it's a stranger or it's, a child of anybody, but your own blood, your own, the person that your literal job is to protect and make sure that nothing bad ever happens to that person.
Yeah.
I can't. I can't.
And like for the entertainment value, like that's why with horror,
that's the part I struggle with. Yeah. What's entertaining about it? Yeah.
Exactly. And like I watch horror to take my mind off of the scary shit,
like the real world stuff going on.
And then when you watch
that's real world horror.
Yeah.
No thanks. The only movie that I will say that I watched that, and it has nothing to do with like grapes or any of that per se, is Speak No Evil on Shudder, and that one was like
that was crazy movie.
And it was like uncomfortable, but like to the point of where you think about trusting people and like what
that's the one we just watched, Mama, with the foreign one where
with the couple that goes and stays with the other couple they met on vacation.
Yeah. That one.
And I liked it because of like not that I enjoyed it, but I thought it was done in a tasteful way. But like the scene where they're going to dinner and like the dude comes in and they're like, oh, the kids aren't going.
Absolutely.
And the mom's like, you can see like she didn't want it to happen. I would be like, fuck this.
Yeah,
Let's go.
no.
That one, actually, I think about that a lot because you allowed us to do it like that.
Yeah.
Like, just because you're nice and you won't
You
like
let
stick up
us.
for yourself. And I'm just like, oh, like that is so, like, that's something that happens to people all the time.
All the
The-
time.
the
And
worst-
I
The husband in that movie, the good husband, I guess.
Yeah.
I wanted to punch him in the face
I hated
so
him,
many
yeah.
times because I'm like, dude, you have every opportunity to save your family
Yes.
and you won't do it.
Just because
even
you
the
don't
part-
want to make somebody else feel bad or feel
When they
weird.
pull over
Yes.
at the end and the guy gets out to take a piss, I'm like, get in the driver's seat and go. What are you doing? Like,
I know. I had to
that's the point of the movie. The point is it makes us want to, like, you know, how would we react in the situation? I promise you, it wouldn't have gone half that.
Not like
hurricane down
that.
Mass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this guy's gonna watch our kids. The fuck he is.
Yeah,
I
I would
don't
have been the
know
same
that.
way.
Mm-mm.
Even like the scene where they're out to dinner and they're like dirty dancing and they're just like sitting there and then they're like, oh, you take the bill for the food. I would have been like, fuck yourself. No, I'm not paying. Like, I just think of how the movie would have stopped with me because I would not take that shit from anyone.
Right.
Oh, it would have definitely been a short film.
You know, you think about boundaries and you think about like not wanting to hurt someone's feelings because of
Yes.
something small, and look how something small unraveled into like the third act. I can't even put into words what I would do since being a parent and like being in that situation.
But not even that. It's like when they're like, get down. Didn't take your clothes off. Like, no.
No,
let's
I'd be
fight.
booking it.
You're gonna make me do this. Like, yes. You don't have a shotgun in my face. You don't have a bomb strapped to my wife with a detonator. Like, if you want to do this, we're gonna go. Like, we're gonna fight. Like, I'm gonna do everything I can. I'll bite your nose off. Like,
Well,
I don't care what I will fight dirty.
I would have ran and I would have taken a rock to the tip because I would have been like booking it. Like, I don't care if my ass is butt ass naked. I'd be booking it. And that's the part. It just so much stuff made me mad. And then I had to like lay in the dark for 15 minutes because it made me feel so weird. I went and I kissed my kid.
Yeah.
And then I told my husband about it. I called him when he was on his way to work and he's like, exactly like you said, Kenny. He's like, fuck that. I would have punched the motherfucker in the face. And he's like going off. And
well, for me, it's just like as angry as that movie made me, like it did its job. Like that's what they wanted to do was make us after the movie go lay in the dark and go kiss our kids and go, you know, I don't give a fuck about your stupid stuffed animals anymore.
Or like even the next time when
them.
someone is like trying to, you know, you're trying to be nice, you know, but you don't want to do something. Like you think about that movie and it's like, no, I'm going to stick up for myself. Like I feel like that's what it did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I love that conveyed that message and made people a little bit more like, you know, but delivering the line that they said, it's like The Strangers because
I was just thinking the same thing. Yeah.
So
this was one that I didn't finish. I got a little bit past the dinner, the night out thing, and then I gave up. And then Jordana told me how it ended the last time we talked because I couldn't get through it. I like when I tell you like when I have my own thing to take care of, like my own piece of me that lives outside of my body that I am taking care of. That is my everything, my world. And when I tell you, like when he was a lot smaller, like stroller age, and people even look like they're about to come over, and my immediate reaction is like, no, like I've cut people off from coming too close. I'm like, that is such a big part of who I am, and my instincts. Like I was just telling this story to like a coworker. Like we were walking, like he was in the cart the other day, and we're walking from Target, and somebody said, "Excuse me, miss," and I was like, "Fuck that!" And I like went straight to the car. I was like, "Y'all aren't getting me. You're not getting him. I don't care what you need." So like, nope. And because like there is no way that would ever happen. First of all, I would never take my children to go stay with people we did not know in somewhere else.
No.
That would never happen. Part one. So like Ken said, super short movie. I would have never allowed any of those things to happen. There's no way. No way.
You have to be that way. But you like, that's the other thing too. It's like, you know, being a nice person. You can be a nice person, but that doesn't mean that you have to allow someone to, you know.
You can have boundaries.
You don't have to. Yeah. And if they get mad, That means that you were right to do what you did.
Yeah, that's on them.
They'll get over it.
And if they don't, they're not the people you need in your life anyway.
No.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If there's somebody that if you place a boundary for you or your children, and people don't, and they get mad about it, then that just tells you were right to do so.
Right.
Because,
Exactly.
yeah.
I don't even know how we got on this tangent of like
don't
that, but
I don't either, but that's what I love about doing these.
I don't know either. I don't remember, but yeah, I couldn't finish it. It made me and I will say, people, like, I had friends that warned me, you know, when I had before, like when I got pregnant, because I was already a horror fan, obviously. They're like, you know, the way you watch horror films is about to change. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm sure it probably will, like a little. I was not prepared for the level of change. Like I watched that movie, They Come at Night, It Comes at Night. It's another shitty A24 horror movie.
yes,
It Comes at Night.
Yep.
Yeah. And the last like 30 seconds or a couple minutes of that movie, when I tell you I was on my couch sobbing uncontrollably, I was devastated. I was so upset. I was so angry that this movie was made. I was like devastated. I went and laid on the floor outside of my son's crib. Like I was devastated. And that would have never happened 5 years ago. Never.
Yeah.
It's definitely
even
a lot
movies
different.
you've seen, your perspective changes. Like me watching The Exorcist as a little boy versus me watching The Exorcist as a father of little girls. Way different viewings. Pet Cemetery.
Pet Cemetery. I was just
I cannot do that scene.
Well, even like watching like things with like teenagers, and you know, when you're a teenager, you like you understand it, but then when you're an adult and you like more understand the adults than the teenagers, you know.
So different.
Yes.
Yeah, man, those parents weren't being dicks. Those parents were right.
They knew what they were talking about.
Like I know. Like, I'm sorry, Mom. Like, you know.
Yeah. And like times have changed too. Like even like with the whole staying, going to some random person's house. Like my kid wants to go to sleepovers. I'm like, no, like I don't know these people. Like I'm sorry that you're like, we can do daytime play dates and all this stuff, but I am not having you stay at someone's house. Like that's
usually I'm like, they can come to our house. Like
I'm like that too.
Yeah.
And then what if the other
We're
parents
the sleepover house.
Yes. And that's what I want to be eventually, is like the sleepover parents. But like
because then you know what they're doing, you know they're safe.
It's
like
Well, see, like where Ashley and I are very, very lucky is we live in a very small community, and like I've been a baseball coach here for 12 years. I know the community really well. Hold on a second, baby. I know all the parents. I know the kids.
Yeah.
So like we are very lucky that Ashley and I are so community oriented. I've worked in the school. You know, I was a parapro for a couple of years. So, you know, we know a lot of the people in the community. Anywhere my son wants to go, we know those people.
It's
pretty
not
well.
like,
But it's still, we are the party house, so to speak.
That's good though. Cause like
the kid party.
I'd rather
eat all your food and mess your house up.
I want that though. Like when my son's of age to like have that, I want that so badly.
Oh
because,
yeah,
like,
absolutely.
And then I think about too, like how many friends I had growing up that like their home life was really bad.
Yeah.
And they would use my house or our other friends' houses as like an escape from that.
Absolutely.
And like how important that is too. Like it's becoming a parent and looking at that stuff is like, it's just so different. It changes everything.
You just think about it so much differently
So
now
different.
as an adult.
Yeah.
Oh, I just saw this one. You're
Hi,
muted.
Tatum.
Yeah, I think the parent thing changed everything for me.
For
I
sure.
could not get through what was it? See No Evil? One name. That was a different one. Speak No Evil. Speak No Evil.
Yeah. And even like you're talking about extreme horror, the one that you were talking, the Irreversible or whatever, there was one called, because I was like looking for recommendations of extreme that isn't too, I don't know, it sounds stupid to say. I want something that's not too extreme, but like
pushes the boundaries without being too much.
Yes. Someone suggested Inside, and I was like, nope, because I already heard about that one. And
Rough.
I don't know that one.
It's a woman who's it's a French film, and she's pregnant, and some lady decides to come in and try to take her baby.
Wow.
In her stomach. So I was like, not doing that.
No.
It's rough.
Yeah.
Ready or Not is another really good one.
Mm-hmm.
You're next. That's got my one of my favorite final girls, Erin. She's like top tier final girl crushes. I love her. She's fantastic.
Yeah.
See, now we're talking about ones I've at least seen. The Babysitter.
Oh, I love The Babysitter.
Maniac and the remake of Maniac. I like both.
I heard the remake was pretty intense.
I didn't even know what you were going to say, but I knew the answer was yes.
Yeah.
Never seen it.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah. It's done by Elijah Wood, right?
Yes.
He did the remake of
Oh,
Maniac.
I did see that. Where Elijah Wood is the maniac in it,
He's
right?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
watched that one.
We did
Yeah.
see that. Yeah. That was
He has all
intense,
those
for
mannequins.
sure.
That was
and-
crazy.
Yeah.
April Fool's Day, that's a good one.
I
That's-
love the twist on that one.
Me too.
Cut, I have not seen.
With Molly
Say this-
Ringwald.
We talked earlier about horror remakes. The April Fool's Day remake is one of the worst remakes.
so
Not only
bad.
I
worst
haven't
remakes,
seen the remake.
I didn't
We
even
were
know
like-
it was remade.
It's
I
top 5 worst film I've ever seen.
I think we were like
What-
20 minutes into it, and I was like, "How much longer does this have?"
That
Like,
was
it's
me
bad.
watching 2006 Black Christmas. I was like, I have to watch this. Like, there's no way
Oh.
around it.
When we were doing the April Fool's Day remake, like we were literally timestamp checking to see how much
Mhm.
time we had left.
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't even know it was remade.
I didn't know
bad.
that either.
It's
and
bad.
what I think the reason it makes me so mad is it's got an amazing cast.
It
Like, the
actually
cast
does,
in it
yeah.
Is so like Scout Taylor Compton's in it.
But
like
the story just is crap.
it's
Oh, God.
garbage. The writing is garbage. Even the acting, like the cast is great, but they don't care. Like, and you can tell.
Yeah.
They do not care at all. Like, it's nothing like the original. Like,
Mhm.
when I say that I want you to take the idea of the original and make it your own, I'm totally down with that. But don't make a completely different movie and be like, hey, this is kind of similar to that movie. Let's just call it that.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
make
what
your own
that's what
movie.
everybody says about the 2019 Black Christmas is that it
That's
was
exactly
like
it.
it's like
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
even close to being anything related to it, and it's
Except
just
for they
has
were in
the
a
name.
sorority. Like that's the only like
Similarity.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it just because of like everything that you guys are saying. Because
Well,
like
the
someone
thing
told
for
me
me
it's
is, like-
not exactly what it's portrayed. Like it's like it says a remake, but it's not. I'm like, I don't want to watch it then because what's the point?
Yeah.
Well, and what
Yeah.
makes me mad is how much they missed the mark, because the OG Black Christmas is all about true, real feminism.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
Feminism and, the empowerment of women, and
It's
you as a
statement
man are
horror,
not
like,
gonna
at
tell
its
me what
finest.
I'm going to do
Yeah.
with my body.
Yep.
And the remake is just about like toxic masculinity, and they do it in such a way that like it's not the guys' fault that they're
Which
like
it doesn't make sense. Like
right.
Like
It just
what do you mean?
if
like,
you're
I don't
like
know.
Ash and I were just talking about this. Like, I love horror movies that have a social message. I
Yes,
absolutely
me too.
love them.
But
Yeah.
if
What-
it's not a horror movie first, then
It
what-
I
gets lost.
despise
Yes.
if you're trying to push a message down
Totally
my throat,
agree.
even if it's a message I agree with, like
Yeah.
feminism. I'm all about powerful women. I'm all about a woman that can take control. And, I was raised by a single mother, and I was not easy. I'll tell you that. So a powerful
We
woman
know.
to me is the sexiest thing in the world. But when you take that type of thing, even like a
Yeah.
feminist thing, and you just want to shove it down my throat and act like you're doing it as part of a story, I'm not in. And like I said, it could be a message I totally agree with. But when you're just trying to enforce a message in your film,
Yeah.
I want to be entertained.
It
That's why
has to be subtle, like not so subtle that no one understands what's going
Right.
on, but subtle enough that you can get to it without feeling like you're choking on it. I
Absolutely.
totally agree.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
be a horror movie first, like
Yeah.
Ashley
Mhm.
said.
Yeah.
Be a horror movie first. Deliver me a message to make me think, but don't beat me over the head with it where I'm not even entertained by the movie anymore. I'm just thinking about your message.
That what's I don't know if you guys have seen it, but did you guys watch Men?
I haven't seen it yet.
Hated it.
That
I'm not an A24 fan. It's hard for me to commit to watching their movies.
I'm not either, and I took a gamble at it because again, and you know what, I'm gonna go on a no trailer kick because I feel like
That's a
majority
good idea.
of the trailers ruin movies, but I
Yep.
mean, like some, it's good to kind of see them to find newer good ones. But this one, I was like, okay, I'll give it a chance. That slammed the message so hard down your throat, and it was so poorly executed, and I just hated it, and I'm like, this is exactly why I don't.
I think what made me the most mad about Men is it's a movie that is made by men, directed by a man, had no women in the creation of the film telling us how women feel and how women think men feel. It's like you could have at least, you know what I mean? Like you said, Jordana, like it was irritating because you're beating me over the head with your men bad, men bad, men bad. But the way that you did it was a man, like you did it in a way that's like that, like a man telling me what a woman feels about men. Like I don't know, like,
and I felt like it was kind of like a slap in the face because it's like I don't know, it was just so weird to me, and I felt like it could have been executed a lot differently if maybe there was a female perspective on it too. I'm not saying like it had to have been done by a female to get the message across, but it was just so poorly done. But
having a female even on set could have been like, what? Hold on, give me
a game changer.
One woman in the writing room that could have been like, hey guys, can I talk for just a second, please? I want to tell you how fucking.
Hey, this isn't how we really feel. So
right.
Oh, let's
you guys don't understand us at all.
I don't want to talk for you ladies, but like as a man that has a huge respect for women and the struggles that women go through, and single mothers, and the empowerment of women is something very special to me. I felt insulted by that film, and it made me bummed because the performances were fantastic, and some of the shots, like the shot under the bridge, like in that tunnel, was terrifying.
I'll give it that.
And it's like you have all these good ideas, but if you would have just got one woman's perspective on things to help you understand that a man telling a story about what women think toxic masculinity is, doesn't work, man. That's like me trying to tell a story about. That's like you guys trying to tell a story about me getting you pregnant. You're probably not going to tell the story as well as I could.
Look at Ashley.
Ashley's like, no one wants to hear that story. I know you're a big girl. Did you go on the big girl potty? Give me some. Good job.
Have any of you guys seen Megan is Missing?
Daddy.
It's a found footage movie, but it's essentially a story about teenage girls being on the internet and what they're exposed to and the dangers of it. But the problem is it's made by like a 50-year-old man. And so there's these dialogue moments where these teenage girls are talking about sex and back and forth with their friends, and they're saying things that just like knowing a 50-year-old man is like over this film is really like I can't get past that to be like, I see what the message is here. Good on you. Because at the same time, it's like if it had been approached completely different, like if you're coming at like, oh, like I'm a father, I have daughters, and I'm trying to protect and send this message out. But it was just so cringy and creepy and gross that like I couldn't even get to the message because I was stuck on teenage girls don't talk like that. Like they just don't talk like that.
Movies like that like really bother me. Like we were, again, Ashley and I are in the middle of writing our next Versus episode on Slumber Party Massacre, the original versus the remake.
Yeah.
And in the first 3 minutes of the original, you see 8 sets of boobs, 5 asses. And, like, I'm supposed to be enjoying
like
this.
Zooming up on the butt.
It's right. And as a man, I'm supposed to be enjoying this, but I'm not, because these are high school girls in the film. Obviously, they're played by obvious adults.
Of age,
But at the same time, I'm watching high school girls in a high school shower bathing, and I'm like, as a father, as a man, as a human being, I don't enjoy this. These are high school girls that you're pushing down my throat right now. Can we please not? And then in the remake, they have a dude whose ass is on point. And they zoom in on his ass in the shower for like 2 minutes, and I was like, I don't even know.
They do.
Like I'm straight as a fucking arrow, but I'm not upset right now. That's a nice butt.
I ain't mad at him.
No.
Right.
You never see like you don't see butts in movies other than like most recently old ass and old people having sex.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
but see, my thing is like, even as a straight dude, like I don't mind seeing some dong hang. Kid Cudi was rocking that shit in X. Like.
You know the best dong in horror that we saw was we went and saw Piranha in 3D, and the dude's hot dog gets ripped off, and then it's like floating in front of your face. And my husband and I were like, yes.
Well, you know, there's a film that'll be coming out on Amazon Prime soon called Bride of Killer Pinata. And I heard that there's some dong in that movie too.
Oh my God. Pinata dong?
Huh?
No,
Pinata.
pinata dong.
I heard that someone's dong gets ripped off.
Ooh.
Thank God we got 3 kids, Ash.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, trust me, I don't need that fucking thing anymore.
Oh my God. Ashley's reconsidering everything right now in her life.
Right.
Just kidding.
You should have seen her on
This
set.
happens once a day.
Once a day.
Awful remake prom night. Oh,
I haven't seen the remake.
it wasn't. Yeah, it was pretty bad. It wasn't like the worst, but it
No.
wasn't.
This isn't a remake thing per se, but Halloween Ends is terrible.
I don't know.
I feel like a lot of people who feel very strongly one way or the other, like just that has to come up at some point in conversation, because I know friends that do the opposite. They're like, I really loved Halloween Ends.
Mm-hmm.
I think Halloween Ends would have been a fantastic standalone Halloween film. I think Halloween Ends is a big piece of shit as the part 3 of a trilogy.
Yeah.
So the thing of it is, too, for me, because I love Halloween very much, just like Ashley. Yeah.
Me too.
And I just did an episode with Angel, Rob.
Mm-hmm.
I did an episode with him, and we kind of talked about it after we stopped recording. I was just upset with it because, to me, this was supposed to be what I'm thinking is the end of Lori and Michael's feud. So
Yeah,
I
that's
wanted
exactly what I said.
I wanted to see Lori die, and I wanted to see Michael and have closure, emotions for the people, not for the people, but like for fans who thought that's what we were getting. Now,
Mm-hmm.
can I give David Gordon Green credit for doing 1 like the original, 2 like H281 and ends like Season of the Witch? Sure, because I think staying true to his trilogy is okay. That's fine, but like, why would
Right.
you? I don't understand it. And also with the marketing, because the marketing was directed as this is what we
Huge
were
problem
getting.
with it was the marketing. Yeah.
Yeah. We were gonna get this huge,
Battle.
fight out
40-year
between
payoff.
Michael and Lori, and we didn't get that.
Because
Yeah,
I
we got
bet
Geriatrics Anonymous.
I bet you anything, if we would have been told what was going to happen, it wouldn't make the money it did. No, like I
No.
wouldn't know. I would have waited until probably streaming and then checked.
Well, I watched it on Peacock. Are you talking about Robbie Horror? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so he and I also talked about Halloween, and like one of the things he said that after pondering and being mad about for a couple of days, I did have to agree is that we technically did get our showdown.
Yes,
but we got it before we were expecting it, waiting for it, wanting it. So it happens, in the other one. But like it's one of those things where like I'm a huge fan of Season of the Witch. That's my favorite Halloween movie. It's Season of the Witch. I love that one. And so when I saw the blue letters and everything, I was like so pumped.
Yeah.
But I felt cheated. I really did. I felt cheated.
I felt the same way with the blue
is-
letters too. I was excited for the blue real quick, just because I've said my piece. But the blue letters, I'm like, cool. 'Cause if we get an ending to this, if we get a feud and then we get like a pan out of Silver Shamrock Factory, I
wanted that.
I would have stood up and applauded MC Hammer.
But here's the thing, though, like when it comes to something like that, and this is where this is what I would say to David Gordon Green.
Yeah.
Halloween 3 Season of the Witch was not marketed as a Michael Myers film.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Halloween
Ends, and I would have even been fine with Corey if Corey would have been in Kills or 2018, so we got at least a little bit of a backstory on him.
Yeah.
But I mean, like you're gonna right away. You want me to feel bad for this kid that just got beat up by band geeks? Like I don't care about you like at all.
Thing was so weird.
Like there was just so like that's the thing. Like the marketing on this movie and the way that they did a lot of the things. And I was amped. Like you guys said, the first act, like when that kid fell.
Oh, me too. My
I was
jaw.
like, let's fucking go.
I said
But
the
then
same thing.
when Michael imprinted on Corey like this was fucking Twilight and like passed his powers to him, I was like, what the fuck are we doing, guys? Like,
It was
I
so
get you're wanting to
disappointing.
go. Like, I get you're wanting to, honor Christine. I get that. You already got Corey Cunningham and with Archie Cunningham. He's imprinting on him like the car did on Archie. It's like, I get all that, but this isn't Christine. Like, if you want to do that, go make a new Christine film. And I get what you're saying. We got the showdown of them in the kitchen at the end, and then Mike getting crucified. Yeah. But it was like what 4 or 5 minutes of the film, and the whole buildup was the end of 40 years, the final battle after 40 years, and that's why. And me, I'm not even a Halloween purist. I don't give a shit.
I'm not either.
Really. Like it's not the worst franchise I've ever seen, but it's not even close to the best. But even me, as someone that's not a Halloween purist, I was bummed by the fact that they were put on the back burner of their own film. I felt Jamie Lee deserved better than that.
Yeah,
I felt like she deserved her send off. I mean, like, it's cool. She got a happy ending. Her and Frank are smashing whatever. They're exchanging Metamucil and smashing and shit. Like, that's cool. But like, can you imagine their house, like the mothball smell? But like, that's cool. But like, as one of the most, while not my favorite, I will go as far as to say the absolute most iconic final girl in horror history. She deserved her own monumental ending.
Yeah.
And that's where I was like, this movie, the marketing ruined the film. It's like Jennifer's Body. I didn't see Jennifer's Body because I thought it was marketed as a sleazy, just showing off Megan Fox's body, pretending to be a horror movie. And then I go and watch it, 15 years later. And me and Ashley are like, this is fucking great.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
What the heck? Why didn't we watch this sooner? And you go back and watch trailers and you see the poster. You're like, oh, I know I didn't fucking watch it.
I did this. No, I did the same thing. And then when I finally watched it, and I did a comparison episode for this one and for Jennifer's Body and for Ginger Snaps, because they're opposite sides of the same coin, but there's a lot of it's very female relationship building. It's very, this sense of monsters representing coming of age and going into womanhood and sexuality. And it's so good. But I did the same thing. I didn't watch it because I thought, it's Transformers, but with a demon. Like, I don't want to see, I don't care.
I love not just powerful women in film. I love powerful female villains like Jennifer, like Rose the Hat from Dr. Sleep. Like, she is so amazing. And like, when you can have a really, really good, strong female antagonist that you're genuinely scared of, like, that to me is so cool. Like, I dig it so much because the tropes have always been your bad guy and your final girl. But when you flip that on its head, like with Dr. Sleep, you have Rose the Hat, who is a sexy, strong, amazing villain, going up against Danny Torrance, this alcoholic loser. Oh, it's a puppy.
I have to go, guys.
Okay, thank you for coming, Ashley.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah,
sorry I have to leave early.
Dad, okay. I love you.
Oh, love you too.
Thank you for stopping in, baby. I'm sorry you gotta work
thanks,
tonight.
Ashley.
I promise you, I wish you were here.
I know. I wish I was there too. I do.
I love you.
Thank you for having us, and we will talk to you later.
Bye.
You said but thank you.
Goodbye.
On that
I mean, you guys heard it. She said but thank you. Wasn't just me hearing this, but thank you thing.
I think my one of my biggest complaints is, and I know a lot of people that really loved Halloween Ends were like, this was the beginning journey of healing. And I'm like, that's fine. But the crying in the car, the not beating up Corey's mom, all of that stuff, because when she shows up when Corey's being bothered by the band kids, and she's and she comes over and she's like, you want to do it or mine? I'm like, this is the Lori that I want, but I wanted that for the whole film, and instead we got this like broken, and I just feel like at that stage that just didn't, I don't know, like that just didn't compute for me. I didn't like that.
There was
No.
a lot in the story itself that was stupid like that. Like you had Allison thinking that her grandma was evil and like trying to turn on her grandma. And it's like their relationship was way, way stronger than that.
Way stronger
Yes.
than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like you're gonna treat me like I'm stupid to think that Allison would turn her back on her grandma for a guy she's known for 2 weeks.
No.
Like,
And that whole like quick relationship
Bonnie
and
and Clyde.
the whole like love story, I was like, what are we watching? Like,
just wait until we get the next one. Halloween Begins.
no.
When we find out that Allison is impregnated by Corey and it's been passed on in the baby.
Oh,
I mean,
God.
like it's it's inevitable. It's gonna happen because
The
there's
baby's
no
gonna
way
be born
this-
with the Michael mask.
Yeah.
Comes
will.
out in a
He's gonna be like,
jumpsuit.
Daddy imprinted.
And then he's gonna kill her like he
Yeah.
did his sister, and it's gonna repeat the cycle. Exactly. It's
See?
gonna happen. But like the thing that irks me too, because like I said, I talked to Rob and he said the same thing. It's like the first one was our closure. Okay, but to me, then you introduce Kills and you have Michael on steroids and you have him being this brutal
I loved Kills.
like force.
Ugh.
Going back now,
Loved
I
it.
can appreciate it.
I know
No.
it's not most people's cup of tea, but Kills is my favorite of the trilogy.
I like
loved it.
Kills way more after Ends.
Exactly. And that's
Appreciate it different.
so weird to say it like that, but I thought about it. I'm like, I would
Yeah.
go back and watch Kills over Ends any day. But the plot of it to keep what's her name alive?
Karen?
Kyle Richards to keep
Oh, for
Oh.
nothing.
I can't even think of her name right now. But to keep her alive, like they killed so many like core characters in Kills.
Yeah.
Then you have her for a bar scene and then 2 seconds.
That
while they're
was such
talking
a
about-
waste of time.
It was. I wanted her to be in the
Well-
final act to help with.
There was
did
a
nothing.
lot of moments like that like people are blaming Lori for what Michael did.
Like,
Huh,
that-
yeah.
Like there was, like I said, there was a lot of stuff, but in Kills too, like there's a lot of shit in Kills like that I think is just stupid. Like the fact that this whole town thinks that a guy that is 3'10" and weighs 400 pounds is Michael
responsible.
Myers, and they're chasing him through a hospital. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, come on. That's like looking at me and then looking at Jay-Z and being like, "There's Ken right there," and he's like, "Yo, I got
You
money,
know
I have Ken."
You know the
like,
point though, right? Like the point of that entire scene,
Yeah.
speaking of statement horror, right?
Yeah.
Is that's what happens when you have mob mentality. When you have somebody in a or a community and in a situation where they are so dire to just move on from this, to pin it on something, to have an answer.
Yes.
They will believe anything they're told, which we've seen countless examples of in history. And
Yeah.
that was the entire point of that scene was this is the power of mob mentality and why it is so fucking dangerous.
And I hated that scene. It made me feel so bad.
It broke my heart. That one was rough.
That scene like got to me, and I was like, not like choked up, but I was like, man, that just it
know.
really bummed me out.
Yeah.
And it kind of took me out of like what was even brewing for like a slasher Halloween movie. Do you know what I mean? Like,
That's fair.
I understand like the like what the message is trying to convey, but I just felt
I know
like
what you're saying.
it was so
It didn't really fit.
Yeah, it didn't
No.
fit. And it just like with Ends, a lot of things didn't fit. So I don't know. We know it's not going to be the end.
2018 is so good.
2018 is so good.
I love
like,
18 too.
That
I
movie's
do.
so damn good.
Nathan thinks Kills is great too, but went way down in my ranking.
Surprisingly, it went up in mine just because I had to put Ends somewhere. And I thought about it like maybe I should watch it again and kind of stop being such a little baby that I didn't get my way. But again, I love Halloween.
Well,
I don't
it's funny,
remember where I ranked Ends. I know that
I
Kills is
dreaded-
really high, but I don't
Yeah,
remember.
I
where.
dreaded the thought of rewatching Ends more than I actually dreaded rewatching Ends. Like rewatching it, I wasn't as bummed as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Like the thought of rewatching it bummed me out more than actually rewatching it, if that makes any sense.
It does.
Yeah.
But yeah, like what you're saying, like with Ends, like for me, it's just a lot of the decision making throughout the movie irritated me. Like I was genuinely irritated by watching what some of these people were doing. Like the one lady that got the light bulb in her neck,
light bulb,
and her sister's like, "This is your fault," and she's like, "Bitch, who are you?"
And she was alive. I was like, again, not to scream and get like super loud, but I don't understand what is in like people's DNA nowadays where people have this like super powerful like will to live, like in Scream 6.
and yeah,
like
they don't kill anybody anymore. It's like, well, but you know the one was it was in Ends, right? It had to be the scene at the very beginning of and I didn't catch this the first time I saw it, of the woman that is hanging.
Yes,
you know who that is, right?
It's what's his name? Right?
Yeah, the kid from part 2, or part from 2018. Mom. I mean,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
I'm gonna be honest here, and this is gonna make me sound like such a fucking nerd, I know. But when we were watching Halloween Ends, and I saw the lady from Halloween Kills, the one that had the light bulb shoved in her neck, I was like, "Ooh, James A. Janice is gonna have to fix that on his kill count because he counted her as dead."
From dead meat.
Like, that was my first thought was like, "Ooh, poor James." I know he was watching it like, "Fuck,"
because she didn't die.
Right.
Well, when I saw her, I was so taken back by it. I'm like, this is so like ridiculous that she's alive. I mean, it's just, and I find it in a lot of horror movies that I'm watching now, where people like what happened to the days of just killing people?
Well, and you have to wonder too, because it's fine sometimes when it makes sense, but what did that add? All we got from that was Lori going and crying in a car. Like we got literally nothing out of that scene.
And we already kind of like had her as the person that people in town thought were crazy to begin with. Sure. So like, why even have
my phone is about to die. So you guys continue. I'm going to run and grab my charger real quick.
Okay. So yeah,
I didn't think that made sense. But part of my problem with Scream 6 was the same thing. There were so many people that should have died that didn't, and I was like, what the fuck is happening?
I couldn't believe it. And you know what's funny too, because I don't think you and I actually had like a chance to kind of dissect and talk about Scream.
Just quick notes.
I really didn't care for 5. I didn't like 5.
Oh, see, I really liked 5. Oh, hi.
This is the new version of Ken.
I know between my cat disconnecting the internet, their daughter, your dog, like we just
I know I gave him the death stare. He's at the top of the stairs. I'm like, go.
What are you doing?
But I would love if she just started talking, being like, "Well, Dad,"
and then just starts talking.
Can you tell them who's your favorite? Who's your favorite scary?
Michael Myers.
Whoa!
Yeah, girl. Look, I got
Ashley influence.
Wait, but like for 6, I actually really enjoyed 6, and I cared more about the characters. But as weird as it sounds, I wanted to see some sort of, like something happen where it meant something, because I felt a connection with the characters. So I was like, okay, like the final act, a lot of people you thought were going down for the count didn't, and I was just like,
what is happening?
Why though? Like why are all these people surviving? Like someone should have.
I rated Kills as my number 5 of the franchise.
That's a good ranking. That's pretty high up there.
Ends is number 8.
Yep.
Number 1 is Season of the Witch.
I love Season of the Witch.
That's my favorite.
My number 1 is
Ashton, does that mean that? Oh, here it is. Hold on. Oh no, that's somebody else. Does that must mean that Ends is really high? If somebody's gonna kick down your door, does that mean Ken?
Probably. My top 3 are H2O, Season of the Witch, and 2018. Those are my top 3.
H2O, huh?
H2O is my favorite.
Mine is original 81 H2O, because I love that storyline.
H2O was a good storyline. Yeah.
And I want, if you know what, speaking of it coming back, if they were to do any sort of comeback, I want it to be about John. I know a lot of people like love the Jamie timeline and like want her story to come back, but I would love to have.
I don't know why. I am not a Jamie fan.
It's not like it's not a big deal.
I love your sound effects, Jordana. Every time you do anything, you have a sound effect to it.
I know. I can't help it.
Whoa.
I can't help it.
That's really weird. Now I'm thinking of anything Jordana does, there's a sound effect.
I
Boy,
do.
yo, 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 yo.
Baby, don't
I just picture Jordana now like, hey.
I can't because I do like.
Baby, don't
Oh my god!
I'm gonna be so self-conscious. I'm gonna be like,
Are you telling people my boing secrets?
oh
Oh
my god.
god!
I do. Like this is like in real life. This is how I act. I do.
I love it. I'm just taking it as a compliment that you're being yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
having a lot
So
of fun.
what's your top ones again? You said what was your first one? You said
The original
the
78,
original H2O.
2, 81. So I like the
Oh,
one
2. Oh, okay.
because I say 2 and some people I don't think they would assume Rob Zombies too because
That's
But-
my last one. That's
Yeah.
That's my absolute least favorite of the franchise.
yes, but
Not
and then
me.
well I take that back. Ends is down there for me because I just was again I will say it until I'm blue in the face. I just was so disappointed. I thought we were gonna get something.
Yeah.
We didn't. But I love H2O and then Season of the Witch.
I'm just saying, man. Like,
I'm with
Halloween
you, Chris.
6 is
Mine
one of the
are
worst movies
rated
I've ever
for the
seen.
trilogy. the
I know
same.
you hate Ken, we've talked about that too, how much you really just hate 6.
I hate it. I hate it. I'm
I
not a fan of
don't even know if I remember which one.
the stupid one with dumb face
Paul
Paul Rudd.
Oh,
Look, Paul Rudd's handsome, but he makes a lot of dumb fucking faces throughout that movie.
You know
that's
what?
my
too?
number 12. That's second to last on my list.
Oh my god.
I hate
I
it.
pulled it up because I have it on Letterboxd because I don't ever remember my rankings for franchises that are that big.
Mine
I
changed.
barely remember for Scream because some days my 2 and 3 switch. It just depends. Like,
Yeah.
it just depends. But
Yeah, your tongue is
Your
blue.
tongue is blue. You're turning into a
Smurf.
blue Smurf. But I don't know, like the whole Jamie thing too. I don't mind 4 because I felt like I watched that when I was like younger, and that was the one that I always rented. So I don't mind 4, but I don't.
You know that's Mark's like
I know.
everything. Chris
know.
agrees. H4 is his number 1. It's definitely not my number 1, but I didn't hate it. I just didn't. I guess I get why people like that one as far as like, and I get why people like the Jamie storyline, but everyone is always talking about wanting that to come back, and I'm like, no.
But the thing with me too is you do this the Jamie storyline, and at the end you think that it transfers to her, and then in 5 you put her completely mute, and Michael still comes back.
So what the hell was? Yeah.
There's like this and I don't understand the inconsistencies of like like why they couldn't have a cohesive. That was cute. That was.
I just love how they're like, we've tried everything. We can't kill this guy. Fuck it. Put him in jail. He'll just be fine there. And Michael's all like looking down, all sad, like they got me.
Yeah. Damn.
And then the cult comes and breaks him out of jail. You're like, what the fuck are we doing, guys? Why
got
Halloween
me.
5 again? Like when you get to the end, Michael is literally sitting in jail like this. He's like,
Like the dog that gets yelled at, or like the kid that's in timeout.
yeah, he's like copping an attitude. He's like, I floated down a river and stayed with a hermit for this.
You
Like,
killed him. What a jerk.
Yeah.
Mentality. Like,
what?
come on
baby?
now.
Yeah, I don't know. Like that's like I'm being serious. Like when it comes to like timelines and shit, Halloween is the worst except for Texas Chainsaw.
It's
Like
the most inconsistent franchise, and I love I love the franchise though. I know it's like,
Yeah, I mean, that
but
doesn't mean that it's perfect though.
I know
No,
there's flaws, but the ones that
Well, Sam Raimi just came out and said that they want to do a new Evil Dead movie every couple of years
Yep.
and have all of them be like their own different standalone films.
Yep.
Mhm.
I think that's awesome.
There's
love
plenty to do in
that
the
idea.
universe. It doesn't have and to keep in mind too, when you're talking about like the origins of Halloween, Halloween was meant to be an anthology. That's
Same.
why Season of the Witch happened.
Yep.
And people fell in love with this concept of Michael, who is not even a character. It's just this physical representation of something else. And so, but people got so connected to that, and they ran with it. And then all the anthology, all the other possibilities of doing other films like that got completely thrown out because they knew this was going to make them money and this was what people were going to follow.
Right.
They fucked themselves by making Halloween 2.
They did.
When they made Halloween 2, if Halloween 2 would have been Season of the Witch, and then Halloween 3 would have been like the
Something
flushing
totally
of the
different.
toilet or whatever, like they could have gotten this amazing different
It would
anthology
have
of the
been
year.
fantastic. Halloween themed horror anthology franchise. And it would have been like, we would be oogling over it even now. Like, there's no way.
Yeah. Because
But
like
every year we could do like our predictions. What's the next Halloween movie going to be about?
Yeah, because people would
they
be talking
simmer.
about it.
I hope they simmer on it. I hope they don't do it. I hope
No.
that they let it rest for quite some time.
Have you guys seen Evil Dead Rise yet?
No, I think I'm the only one on here that hasn't.
Okay, well, I'm not going to spoil anything.
Yeah, no.
But obviously, the last Evil Dead came out in 2013. You had Evil Dead Rise come out this year, 2023, and that's exactly what Bruce Campbell said in his interview. He was like, "We want to do an Evil Dead movie, just not every 10 years." Ooh, thank you. But have them be like their own different standalone films.
Yeah.
And like, I just think that like if you go into it knowing that they are going to be their own standalone films, like they're not trying to trick you with the marketing.
There's so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. You could do so many different things. And like, I would love to see like an Evil Dead movie take place in the middle of winter in Michigan, like in the snow.
So much. Well,
and
what's true is this has been happening a lot more recently in the genre of horror in general, but this concept that like we're going to make a movie, but it's going to be 3 movies. How about we just focus on making like one good one? Like really The Exorcist, The Strangers. The one that makes me the most mad because I've been waiting 5 years for this movie is the FNAF thing. They're like, oh, not only did they just start filming barely a month ago, we already have a release date and it's going to be a trilogy. Y'all are making me nervous. Like, just slow down, make something worth going to see.
Right.
Thank you. And something maybe original instead of like rebooting a franchise and doing like, can we have some original ideas? Like, I can't.
Well, look at what the original ideas are doing. Look what Terrifier 2 did last year.
Yeah.
Look at
Smile broke a shit ton of records.
Smile. Look at, even though it's super polarizing, either people absolutely love it or absolutely hate it. Look at what Skinamarink did.
I love that one. Yeah.
Skinamarink was made on $15,000 Canadian.
And had virtually zero marketing.
Yeah. And in the marketing that they did have was like creepy as hell.
TikTok. It was just TikTok marketing.
It was all video reels or whatever.
Yeah.
Which like it totally sparked my interest because I watched it and I think that I know what it was doing and it definitely had.
I guarantee you know what it's doing.
Well, they brought in I think over 20 times what they pay, what
their
the
profit. Oh, they killed it. And the thing is like even and what I've noticed, majority, I can't speak for everybody, but what I've noticed is the conversation circling Skinamarink, even people who didn't love it or who hated it respect it for what it was and what it was able to do. All of the unique horror is indie horror. Like
I'm with you 100%. Like you guys know that I'm such a Terrifier 2 freak. But like even after what it did, I loved All Hallows Eve and Terrifier before it blew into this like phenomenon. And I'm so excited that it's as big as it was, but I'm also equally scared because I hope he still does not sell out because he was going to go with a big company and he said no because they wanted to cut everything out of the movie. He's like, no, I'm not doing it. I hope the big companies will just pay him to do his thing and stay true to what he does best. Because
I think the Terrifier 2, I think if anything, that showed Damien that he doesn't have to. Look
Right.
at what look at the money he just made.
Totally
Like,
true.
Skinamarink, same thing with Terrifier 2. That had zero marketing, but it was doing so successful in theaters that more theaters were, and it's not a thing where like he's pitching theaters. Theaters started pitching him.
Oh,
We
yeah.
want your movie to play in our theater. And it's just like it's so and again, like I have friends that are a part of this. David is a friend of mine. Amelie is my little homie. Like I'm good friends with her and her mother, like I have genuine friends that are a part of the Terrifier universe, and I couldn't be any more proud of them for how successful that they are right now. And I know I can talk about it now because it's been announced, but we are getting a Terrifier 3.
Yes.
Damien has written Terrifier 4. Amelie will be reprising her role as the little pale girl in Terrifier 3. So like, there's these things that like I can finally talk about because like we knew that Amelie was going to be in Terrifier 2 for a couple of years,
Right.
And we weren't allowed to talk about it. The NDAs that were signed, like we weren't allowed to talk about that. And it was such a bummer because we met Amelie because Ashley and I interviewed her a couple years ago for a film that she was in. And it was just like we were able to connect with her and her mother. And we did an interview with her and a bunch of the ladies that were a part of this film. And after the interview, her mom called me and was like, hey, we really appreciate you reaching out and having Amelie a part of this. And I was like, of course, I wouldn't have it any other way. And she started telling me about Terrifier 2. She's like, she's going to be a part of this film. We're nervous because of the script that we've read. And then, we talked to Amelie and she's like, when we were on set, David and Damien and Sierra, like everybody did everything to just make me feel as comfortable as I could possibly feel. And it's, we got to remember that this is a 13-year-old girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you being Megan right now?
Daddy, you have a
We both have yellow shirts on.
Yeah.
Is Megan your favorite? Do you like to dance like Megan?
Baby doll.
The doll.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. Oh my god.
Well, same thing, Amy Donald, the one that was Megan.
That played
Right. We were lucky enough to interview her. And so, she's coming to Horror Hound in Indy in August. So we get to take Kenley to finally meet her, or not in August. August. Yeah. She's going to be in Indianapolis for Horror Hound in August. And, Kenley gets to go and meet her and she's going to cosplay as Megan when we go.
Cute.
Because like,
oh my god.
She loves it. She loves Megan. She loves to dance. Yeah. You like to do the Megan dance?
Yeah.
Mommy's not there
I
anymore.
talked to David Howard Thornton. Like I won like this contest with Porterville podcast, and I got like the nicest dude and like the most humble way. And like watching their success got me so giddy and like mildly emotional because like to watch that unfold and to see the progression of how it blew up and like him getting recognized for his amazing work, like that restored my faith in horror because I started to lose it a little bit with the stuff that was coming out and like the quality and like what was being rebooted and remakes,
Yeah. When I got ready to do my top list for 2022, everyone had the big hitters. Everyone. Barbarian. They had Terrifier 2, of course, that was a big one, but that was at least indie. There were indie films that only came on Shudder that like the last thing that Mary saw or what Josiah saw. There's two that had Saw in it, something like that. Those fantastic
what Josiah
films.
saw was a little too much for me.
See, I really liked it. But the thing for me is that like there were indie films that were contenders to be on a list that the big ones were not going to come anywhere near.
Exactly. Like The Watcher.
My number three for
good.
last year was indie film called The Harbinger.
That's
Yes, with that thing. That movie scared me.
The Plague Doctor.
Yeah. That movie scared me. That was just a fuck it, like, oh my God, like, what's worse than death? You know what I mean? Like, it was just so good. And
there was another indie. What was the other one that came out? It was like, I think it was, my number one for for 2022 was
Mhm.
Mad God.
Oh my God.
That was my number one for the year.
I just watched it because that would have been on my list. That movie is insanity on every level, but the amount of talent that oozed out of that movie, like the effects.
Phil Tippett, like, I mean,
Yes.
from the work, and when you think about the work that he's done, because he did like RoboCop, he did work on like other films that, like, when you think about that movie and you think about the other stuff he's done, it does not. That movie was like 30 something years in the making or something.
Yeah.
And it's definitely I would say an acquired taste because it's very experimental, it's very unique.
Yes.
But it was my number one for the year.
It kept me engaged the whole time.
The whole time.
What the next thing was going
to be.
And I was like, this is insane. And I wish
So good.
I would have watched it when it came out because it was on
I did. I watched it as soon as it came out.
Yes, but
I Smile was my favorite last year.
Smile was in my top 5, I think.
Smile was great though.
It was a toss up between, like, my top 4 are interchangeable. It was like Smile, The Black Phone, The Harbinger, and Barbarian. Like, you know, Barbarian to me is another movie that, like, how do you market a movie correctly? Barbarian was perfect with its marketing.
In that sense, I do agree. Yes.
Like it's like
the trailer was a lie.
Yeah, the trailer was like you had no idea what you were getting into.
No idea.
I left Barbarian, and for like 3 days, all I could think about was how much I hated Justin Long's character in that movie. Like, I thought about that for days, like how he was able to pull off such an amazing thing of making me completely hate him as a character. And it was written by one of the dudes from The Whitest Kids You Know. Like, Zach Krieger wrote this film, and I'm like, dude, it just shows you that, like, comedians make the best horror writers because horror and comedy are so closely knit. You know, it's all about timing. With horror, if you don't have the right timing, you're not going to scare people. With comedy, if you don't have the right timing, people aren't going to laugh.
It's true.
So, like, to me, like, Jordan Peele, Zach Krieger, and Zach Krieger just signed on for more horror deals, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, comedians, I think, or people that do stand-up comedy or comedy troupes are going to be your better horror writers because they know how to do storytelling and they know about timing.
That's true. A good point.
On my list, I put, and I know it's going to ruffle some feathers, but I put the 2022 Texas Chainsaw Massacre just because.
I love you so much, but like.
Hear me out why. Ready? So I had so many like expectations of movies. Like, you know, like I really was going into X. I'm like, this is, and then it was, you know, everyone's talking about it. It's hype. Groundbreaking, the best. Where I personally, I don't like X. I think that I don't understand the hype around it. I don't get it. Yes, there's some cool shots. I'll give it that, but nothing that made me like praise the movie. I felt like it was 45 minutes of porn and then old people doing it. So I'm like, I mean, I could have watched this on my own time. Really, like I don't need to watch this for entertainment value. So I was.
What happens on me and my laptop stays with me and my laptop.
Like I don't need that for like a horror. I'm gonna catch you and you're gonna sit and watch. No. So when Texas Chainsaw came out, I'm like, what are you expecting from a Texas Chainsaw movie other than Leatherface is going to be in it? There's people that are going to die, and it's
you're not wrong. Yeah.
Gory, you know, and I thought the cinematography was beautiful, like the shots of the sunflower field, all of that I liked. And I liked not so much of like the cheesiness of the bus scene, like when the guy's like,
oh my God, you're canceled, bro.
I was like, but the shots of like the blood and the people running, I enjoyed it. Like I sat with a glass of wine and cheese and I really didn't expect too much, but I had a good time watching it. And to me, that felt better than like, I don't know.
You have some support. Nathan agrees. TCM 2022 was a lot of fun. And then Chris says, TCM gave me what I wanted. Okay, can we at least talk about this though? And there's no way you don't think this is ridiculous. You know that part where he like dolphins out of the hole in the ground? How old is he supposed to be? Come on, man.
The biggest problem I had with that movie.
Okay, yes. Okay. Yes. I will give it that. I will. I will.
The biggest problem I had with that movie, and if this wouldn't have happened, it probably would have been in my top 5 for 2022, was the Sally Hardesty storyline.
That was
Completely
upsetting.
Unnecessary.
And Marilyn Burns is passed. Don't recast Sally Hardesty.
Totally agree.
And her story was so fucking stupid. Like she walked in and she's like, "You don't even recognize me," and he's just like, and like walks away. I'm like, "What are you doing?"
He also got up and shot again after being like chainsawed in half,
impaled.
Yeah,
exactly. But you know what? All that was a grab. All that was a grab, and it was a Laurie Strode knockoff. That's all it was.
It was like, come on.
That's what pissed me off. Because I've said since the beginning of time, Marilyn Burns was the Scream Queen, not Laurie Strode. You watch that dinner scene from the first Texas Chainsaw.
Classic.
Holy shit, man. That's like 20 minutes of her just pure screaming the whole time. Agree. And I do love the homage at the end of, how at the end of the OG Texas Chainsaw, it's her riding away laughing in the truck. And in this one, it's her riding away being terrified in the self-driven car. Yeah. You're like, I love stuff like that. And I thought it had one of the best kills of the year with the, when he broke the guy's arm and then shoved the bone into his neck.
That was really good. I do agree. That was really good.
I was watching it. I was sitting here and I was just like, damn, that was fucking awesome. Like, holy shit, that was great.
That one was really good.
The whole progression of that scene was great.
Maybe it's because I'm old, like the characters were just annoying the fuck out of me.
It's because we aren't the teenagers anymore. That's why.
Well, and you were talking earlier about like the way that people talk, and they don't really talk like that. And like there was just certain moments in this movie where I felt like that, and then
you're canceled, bro. Okay, see, this is one of those moments where like when your fight or flight should be kicking in, not let me record this thing.
It would be flight. I would be out of there because if
I would be out,
I'd be like,
and dude, like you're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And so, okay, so the one thing I will say that I did really like about this, Rick is a big fan of gore. It definitely had a lot of gore.
Yeah.
But like the one thing I did like is, and I don't know if you guys will feel the same way, but I feel like this was like an old school like the statement piece, right? To me, the millennials represent the millennials coming into this town is this physical representation of elevated horror coming into a genre that has existed beforehand, right? Mm-hmm. And then Leatherface is an OG, right? So he represents an original concept of horror that has been there for a very long time, showing them that there is only one. Like, you know what I mean? Right. And I think that was a redeeming quality for me for that one, but it did get one of my lowest ratings for the year last year.
I mean, just for me, it's like I went into this movie wanting a chainsaw massacre to happen in Texas, and that's what I got. Like I said, some of the other things bummed me out, man. Like you didn't need the Sally Hardesty storyline.
No, not at all.
Even worse than that, now that I'm replaying the movie in my head, I really disliked the school shooting storyline too. If we're gonna
hated it,
I was like, that's a little too real for me.
I did not like that at all. It wasn't necessary either. It didn't add anything.
Right. When you do things like that, when you do like another thing that, and it made me so angry because my son and I are huge fans of the first film. Have you guys seen Tales from the Hood 2?
Yes.
Mm-mm.
So me and my son are huge fans of the first one.
Yes.
I love the first one. The first one is like one of my favorite movies of like all time.
And we're watching part 2, and they have a whole segment in there about Emmett Till, the little boy, the 14-year-old that was beaten to death.
Yep.
And they call him Emmett Till. They talk about how it's Emmett Till.
Yep.
And I'm telling my son, I'm like, this is real, dude. Like this isn't something they should be putting in this movie to entertain us.
Right.
That's true.
I get what you're trying to do, but I don't need to see Emmett Till getting beat in a movie fictionalized. Like that poor boy, what he went through, and that's real. Like that's why like I don't understand the people that get obsessed with what was the big craze? Fuck, I can't remember. They just had a Netflix show about the guy. Dahmer. Like people, I see people dressing up as Dahmer for Halloween and dressing their kids up as Dahmer. I'm like, that was a real guy that really killed people
and those
really
families.
lives.
Those families, when the Netflix show got announced, they were devastated because they have to. Every time anything like that happens, it's like kicks back up all this stuff for these families, and it's really hard for them.
And not just that, you know, because I get the argument of if you don't like it, don't watch. That's fine. That's fine. But when you're one of these families and you're walking around taking your kids out trick or treating, and you see 4 Jeffrey Dahmers walking by you, and you have to be reminded, hey, you see that guy dressed up? That's who killed your uncle. You know what I mean? Like, that's a real
that's a good point.
person. Yeah. You know, like this, like, oh, well, what about Freddy Krueger? Freddy Krueger never killed anybody in real life, guy. That's a fiction. It's Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy. Those guys really hurt people. And I get Zac Efron is sexy. I get that. Like, he's hot. I get Evan Peters is a very attractive man.
Sure.
But what those real life people did is fucking disgusting.
It is.
Do not idolize that. Like, that's fucking
weird.
And
that's what they do. They make it, they add the sex appeal. They make it sexy and it becomes this like.
I mean, Ted Bundy was a sexy guy. That's how he was able to do what he did.
Exactly. That was like
he was because people back in the day assumed everybody that killed people looked like a creep, and that's not reality.
He was sexy. He was well spoken. He was well read.
He was like super involved in the community and his family life.
Same thing with Gacy. John Wayne Gacy was the same way. Like that's where Stephen King got the influence for Pennywise. He was like, because he's this beautiful, amazing clown on the outside, but the darkest, nastiest monster on the inside.
Yeah. I hate it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, and that's why when I see people talking about like the idolization of Ted Bundy or John Wayne Gacy or anything like that,
any of the serial killers,
I'm fucking weirded out, man. I'm like that person really hurt people. It like legit in real life ruined not just the people he killed.
Right.
But their families are ruined forever. And you're buying glasses to dress your kid up like this for Halloween? Like, guys.
It's in poor taste. And that's the stuff that I don't really like to watch because it just makes me feel like a certain way. It makes me feel icky because like the stuff that that transpired and the stuff that happened, it's like, you know, and I know people you love horror, so you must be, you know, but
into also serial killer stuff. That happens a lot. Well, it's like Ashley said earlier, like a lot of this is to get away from that stuff. Like it's to get away from, you know, that's why we are cool with the far-fetched stories or the things where we mix in things like sci-fi horror and we mix in all of these other things because that was fantasy. You know,
it is.
Yeah. Yes. It's make believe. And it gives you this, and it's like, they've done millions of studies on this, right? Where it's like, you have this concept of being afraid in a comfortable place. And that gives you a broader sense of security because you are taking control of that fear in a place where you know you can turn it off if you want to, because it's not going to affect anything after you turn it off.
Right.
And it's not like that when you get down I tried to watch the Dahmer series. I couldn't get through it. Like it was so upsetting. And then, you know, too, like you see things like, and I know this is not real, but you know, like you see things like what happened with Heath Ledger when he went down this rabbit hole of this really, you know, fucked up character. He already had mental health issues. There was a lot going on. And I've seen people question things like that. Like what's going to happen to Evan Peters in 5 years when this is all he does? Is this like, you know, because I mean, honestly, like what he did performance wise was great. But I got to a certain point in the show where I was like, this just makes me feel, like you said, it just makes me feel heavy and sad. And that's not entertaining at all.
And I don't like true crime. And again, if that's somebody's thing, good for you. I'm happy.
Yeah.
But it's too real for me, man. Like people like, what was it? When we just had that shooting at that school in Tennessee.
Yeah.
I had someone send me the video of the shooter getting shot. And I was like, don't do that. Don't send me that stuff. Like, I don't want to, I get that the person was evil and whatever. I don't want to see people die in real life. Like, I don't want to see that no matter what the situation is. I don't like it. Like that makes me very, very upset to see that, because there's a difference between horror where I'm being entertained and I know that this is not real. This is, this is fiction. This is fantasy.
It's completely different
than watching someone lose their life on camera. I don't want to see it. It grosses me out. It makes me severely uncomfortable. It makes me feel almost dizzy. Like I don't like it. It's real. Like I said, there's a huge difference between fantasy and reality.
Absolutely.
And that's what I try to teach my kids. Like when, you let your 3-year-old watch horror movies? I do. And I teach her, this is not real. This is fake. And I've let her meet Amy Donald. This is Megan. This is what she really looks like.
That's great.
So I just feel like if you educate somebody on something, they're going to be I don't want to say an expert, but they're going to know the difference between fantasy and reality. My 3-year-old knows you can't cut people with a knife because that's naughty and it will kill people. Yeah. She knows that when it happens in movies, when she watched it happen to her daddy in the movie that he was in, she knows that was fake. That wasn't real. Daddy wasn't really hurt.
Yep.
So like, I just feel like it's just like with education, it's just like sex, just like drugs, just like alcohol, gambling, like as long as you're educated on what you're doing and not to go too far, and the difference between fantasy and reality when it comes to horror movies, like I just feel like you're going to be more grounded and you're going to grow up knowing, the whole horror movies create killers and, Mortal Kombat made kids shoot up schools. Like those arguments to me are fucking ludicrous. Uneducated people that don't get the right type mental health treatments. Those are the type of people that'll do that. Media doesn't cause that.
Well, they don't want to talk about the mental health crisis. They don't want to talk about ways to fix it because they can just blame something else.
Exactly.
And
it was TikTok. TikTok made
money.
Yeah.
It's so sad that mental health is such a pushed away, like not like saying people don't support it, but just wanting to help and to fix it. Like, it's just so sad. Like, I used to work in the mental health field and there's such a demand for it. You know what I mean? And it's
we are one of the only civilized countries on this planet that don't offer free mental health care.
And it blows.
There's no money in offering it. Yeah.
Yes. But once you want like some sort of, I don't want to say safety. What's the right word I'm looking for? But some sort of like, you just want to help people to not like have to go through it alone and feel alone and have,
it's crazy.
I'm going to be 100% honest with you. It's not just about the money. It's also about population control. As disgusting as that sounds.
Yeah.
It feels up to me. Oh, trust me, you don't want to get me into a political conversation, but I've always said that mental health is the scariest thing on this planet.
It is.
And you want a correlation between the amount of mass shootings that happen in the United States as compared to other countries. Yes, guns is a huge problem in the easily accessibility of guns in this country, but like we were just saying 18 seconds ago, this is one of the only countries on the planet that does not offer free health care to mental health care to people.
Yeah.
And if that was an offer and we didn't make it so taboo in this country, don't be a bitch, bro. Like
suck it up.
Type
it's
of thing.
Like, no.
You wouldn't say that to your friend if they had cancer. Don't be a bitch, bro. Cut that shit out. You know what I mean? Like, and mental health issues,
totally right.
It's a health issue. Mental health. It is a health issue.
Yes, it's something that like it's so sad to me, and that's why I love that I started my page.
I go give her back.
That dad look he just gave her. He was like,
"There's a wedding."
I need to get a towel and tie her up.
What does she want now?
Well,
can you give me her clothes and I'll get her dressed?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I have mental health struggles. Like I have to take a rainbow assortment of pills every morning to make sure that I don't contemplate bad things.
Yeah, sure.
And it gets to the point to where people are like, you got kids, man. Think about your kids. Man, when things get dark like that, it's not like that, man.
It's not. You can't just like snap your fingers and refocus your attention on something else.
Oh, just think of something else. Oh, thanks, dude. I didn't think about that before. I'll just do that next time.
You know what my favorite one is, and this is more towards like women's mental health, is like, oh, you're just stressed because your mom. You should like just take a bath, have a glass of wine, and you're just thinking, you're like, because that is going to solve literally
all the
Oh.
issues.
I had a coworker at the place I worked at before I'm at now who was complaining because their son and his wife and their new baby came to stay with them for a while because the new mother was genuinely struggling with postpartum. And he, in an office surrounded by women who are mothers, goes, well, it's not like postpartum affects that many women.
I'm sure
It doesn't. Do you know that you're at risk of having postpartum until your children are 5 years old?
Not only that, but I don't care if it affects one woman.
The fact that that was the excuse, though, was like, oh,
disgusting.
We can dismiss this because no one else goes through it. She's just crazy, right? Aren't we all? But like, you know,
yeah, it's
again,
gross.
mental health in this country is fucking taboo.
Yeah,
and it comes from the old generation of, oh, rub some dirt on it, bro. You'll be all right. Oh, don't be a bitch. It's just a woman. Oh, don't be a bitch. You'll get over it. You know, it comes from that. And it comes from the, you know, and now it's one of the words I hate more than anything on this fucking planet. If you're in touch with that, you're woke. If you care about other people and their mental health. You know, like it's been taboo for so long, and it's such a bummer to think about all the people that have gone through things that it could have came out the other side if they could have just gotten the right amount of treatment or the right amount of help or the right people to talk to. And
as simple as that too. And that's like when I started my page, I wanted to, like, obviously you can't give help, you know, like that type of help, but I always try to enforce on my page, if you ever are feeling a certain way and you need to talk, like, I'm always here just to listen, because sometimes you could be going through something and all you need to do is just vocalize it, get it out,
right,
see it, you know what I mean?
I do that all the time. You know, my DMs are open because sometimes people are so scared to talk to the people that they know, that they see every day, because they don't want their image to be changed.
Yep.
So if you want somebody
else outside,
right, if you want somebody that can just be there to listen to your story, and you don't have to worry about facing me every single day, but you know that I'm there to listen and be a helpful, you know, a shoulder and an ear for you. Yeah. Because that's the biggest thing. A lot of people, they're so scared because of what the people around them are going to say. I'm scared to talk to you about these feelings I've had. I'm scared to talk to you about the way that I like the way it feels when I cut myself, because I have no other way to escape into these other worlds. Yeah. I like the way it feels when I do 3 lines of Coke rather than the one that I usually do, because I feel my heart beating extra fast. You know, like I've been there. Man.
I'm not laughing at you, but just like you go from that and then you're like 1 line of Coke to 3.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I just like,
I get it.
You know,
I know.
I've been there. You know, let's push the boundaries. Let's see how far we can take this, because who gives a fuck if it doesn't work?
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
It's
luckily
sad.
I have a wife now that, you know, takes care of me and makes sure that my head is in the right place. I'm not smart enough to do that shit. She literally has like the Monday through Friday pill thing for me, because like I always forget to take my pills and then I start getting all crazy and shit. But
it's good to have a good, strong support. Like, it's good to have
that's important. And so many people don't have that. And that's like part one. Like that's such a small part of it too, but it does matter, because like if you don't have anybody to genuinely support you. Yeah.
If you feel alone, there's nothing more horrific than feeling like you're alone and you have no one to talk to that's going to understand what you're going through. Because you know, and it's so cliche to be like, you know, hey, we know what you're going through. Nobody really does until you're ready to open up, you know. And even when you do open up, maybe I have had similar experiences, but I still may not know what you're going through. But I'm definitely here to listen, and I'll give you the best.
You don't have to know what someone's going through to have empathy or to be supportive. Right. You don't have to know.
Right. Yeah. And even if I don't understand it, you know, I will try my best to. Again, I'm old. You know, I'm 37. I'm stuck in my ways. I've you know, things that I've grown up with.
Excuse me.
Hold on.
I'm 37 and I feel young, Ken. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. You're only as old as you feel.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm 75 and I, you know, like, it's just, it's, you know, I am lucky, you know, like, and like I said, I met my wife in high school, you know, so I've never had to go through wondering who was going to be there when I got home at night, if I was going to have to sleep by myself, or if there was somebody out there that actually cared about me, you know, like, I've never had that type of issue in my life. And I'm not trying to be like, I'm the best, you know, that's not what I'm saying.
No, I know what you mean. Relatability wise,
to where I had a wife that cared about me. I had a mother that would have done literally anything in the world for me. So I've never felt that I didn't have a support system around me, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
So if there's people out there and you feel like you're alone and you don't have someone that's there that you can talk to, I know my DMs are always open, and it's a lot less scary for me being a male to say, hey, my DMs are always open.
Yeah,
because,
we do have to be a little more guarded.
right. You know, and I've gone through that with Ashley. I've had people that I thought I could trust, you know, start to talk inappropriate to Ashley on DMs. And I'm like, yo, like, I don't.
Emoji.
Well, my thing is like, I don't want to tell people don't DM my wife. My wife is amazing. I want to talk to her. So I'm sure other people do too.
Yeah.
But have that level of respect for my wife to know that she is my wife and that we've been together 18 years. You don't stand a chance, bro. Like, I'm just saying, like, good luck. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you don't do it, but I'm going to tell you good luck because you ain't getting her.
Yeah.
And I'm just more upset, like, because that's rude to do that to a woman that's married. And when you know.
But you know what? It's people just don't care. People
It's amazing.
will like act like they like have some sort of trust with you or something like that. And then as soon as you blink an eye, it's like that. And it's like,
well, and I don't even think it matters if you're married. I think the reality is people, society has taught men and women that we owe them niceties and we don't fucking owe you anything.
anything.
Anything. I don't have to respond. I don't have to heart your comments. I don't have to do shit. I don't owe you anything. Single, not single, mother, not mother, gay, straight, it doesn't matter. I don't owe you anything.
And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
That is the, and see, that's what sucks is like, I don't have to worry about that.
No.
You know what I mean? But like I have, like I said, Angel, Jordana, you were two of my good friends. I have my wife. I have, you know, Kylie, Haunted Hippie. I have Celise from Sweet and Spooky. Anna from What a Ghoul Wants. Like I have these people that like I genuinely have huge feelings for.
Yeah.
And you know, and I'm always been that guy. I'm the I love you guy. You know what I say? I love you to everybody. And I have these genuine real, and it's not just my female content creator friends. I had, you know, like Nick from the Lost River Drive-In, Justin Ryan 1988. I text those dudes once a week. Yo, bro, love you. Hope you're having a good day. You know what I mean? Like
this is from Nathan, Ken.
Nathan. I talk to Nathan every single day. Every single day. We talk about sports. We talk about life. We talk about jobs. We talk about, you know, like I just feel like if I can be a friend to somebody, like that, you know, like that, I don't want to, again, I'm not trying to be like, I'm bigger than I am, but I do have a platform that people listen to me on. So I need to be a positive influence on those people.
Totally agree.
And if it doesn't matter if I'm touching one person or 10,000 or 100,000, if I am reaching out and I have a platform, I need to be as genuine and as kind and as loving as I possibly can be to try to spread that around to other people.
Absolutely.
And it sucks sometimes because, you know, I feel like I have it easier than you guys would. Because if you guys, you know, if you have men reaching out to you and you start answering back like, hey, how are you doing? How's it? They're going to start, oh, well, maybe I have a chance now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't get that. I don't have, even the women that I have that, you know, text me or call me or DM me, they don't get inappropriate with me. And I'm so appreciative for that. And it's just like, I feel, and it's not just in that aspect. And I've talked to you two about this before.
Yeah.
We know that you're beautiful women. You know, but you're also hard workers. You're smart. Fuck off, Jordana. You can't talk about Angel like that. She's right here.
I had to do my sound.
You gotta have sound effects when you do anything, Jordan.
You have amazing content creators and you spend hours on your content and working your ass off and you post it and it's like, yo, baby, what that mouth do? That mouth just made 2 hours of content. Maybe you should listen to it and understand what the fuck I do.
So funny you say that because like I feel like I can say this freely. Like I don't get, you know, like inappropriate people trying to slide my DMs. Usually it's like people saying, how can you say that Scream 2 could almost beat the original? You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. It is what I get, which is great because I love it. But I posted something. Oh, I posted the Evil Dead like little collage thing in honor of Evil Dead coming out. And someone was like, that came out Wednesday, laughed my ass off, like super snarky. My husband read the comment and he's like, did you see that guy wrote that to you? I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like stuff like that is just, oh, you won up me. It came out Wednesday.
Yeah,
Like, God forbid
you
I post
know,
on
I
Thursday
think
night.
we're like two of the lucky ones because I
Yes.
actually just had this conversation with my friend Kat about because there was this whole thing in the writing indie horror world where there was a person who was outed for really inappropriate behavior towards women, and that was why I did the whole post where like I tagged Sledgehammer as like a safe place because there was like this whole conversation around people pretending to be safe places when they aren't, and then using things like their platforms where they work as a means to manipulate situations and gain control. And it's but like I'm like really I've only had a couple of things so far that have happened where I've had to be like enough, like but I think it's like, but I know so many women that can't. Like one of the things I was like so crazy about was when I first started my socials before I actually made my channel.
Yeah.
I never posted pictures of myself. Never posted pictures of myself, never talked about anything. Like I was super careful about making a sexual joke or saying the wrong thing, because if you say those things, if you look a certain way, if you put yourself out there, it's risky and it sucks because you should be able to do that. You should be able to make jokes and wear what you want and look pretty on camera and post pictures because you think you look great. Like you should be able to do that
without
the harassment.
Is so fucking important.
It is.
I feel like, and this is where it sucks because like you were just saying, like a sexual joke and stuff like that. If I make a sexual joke, that's funny. Oh, dude, that's hilarious. That's great, bro.
Yep.
If you make a sexual joke, you need some dick right now.
Yes.
Yes.
That's so true.
And it's
again, like I'm bummed. Like it bums me out because like some of my Ashley obviously is my best friend. You know what I mean? Like she is genuinely my best friend. And she makes the best sexual jokes. Like she's fucking hilarious. And she's the same way. She feels like if she says that shit, people are gonna look at her like she's a whore.
Thank you, Chris.
I
Have
love
a
you,
good
buddy.
night.
It's one of my best friends. Like me and him grew up together.
Cool. Thanks.
And like when I have, and it's just such a bummer that you guys can't interact that same way because then it comes off as either, oh, she's a whore, or oh, she's desperate, or something like that. Where if I say, oh, bro, that's hilarious, man.
It's so true.
And it's that double-edged sword is such a fucking bummer, man. And like
it does suck. Yeah.
It does. And like
it's hard I feel like, and it's hard for everybody, but it's just so interesting to see like the longer I'm in the community and like putting myself, because I don't have active social medias. I have a real Facebook, but I like never use it. But other than that, I don't have like stuff where I just post all like about my personal life. So like I just have my socials for the channel. And I think like I'm just so conscious of what I post, what I talk about, who can I trust? And like, I remember when I first started doing videos with other people, because when I first started, I didn't want to, because it terrified me for all kinds of reasons, not just that one. But when I started getting people interested that were men, and it's not because these men necessarily did anything wrong. They hadn't said anything inappropriate, but that's my experience as a woman in the world. And it makes it hard because like, I want to do content with everybody. I don't care. Yeah. And so, but there's just this thing where like, you have to be super careful, and it really, really sucks.
I'll be honest with you, even like as a man that cares, because some men don't give a shit. As a man that genuinely cares, that goes for me too. Because like when I reach out to women to talk about, and you guys know, because you guys have been on the podcast, what people don't see is the behind the scenes that happens before and after the show. Yeah. Now, before the show, I ask every single female that comes on my show, are you comfortable being called beautiful?
Yeah.
I ask every single female that before we start an interview. Because I always talk about, don't tell women they're beautiful, blah, 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 blah. Don't comment they're beautiful. And then people are like, oh, I watch your interviews. And in every single interview, you say, hey, I'm joined by the beautiful, blah, blah, blah. But what you guys don't see is before the interview starts, I ask, is this something you're comfortable with? If it's not, I'll say something else. I'll choose a different adjective. I always put their comfortability before my own, because that's the right thing to do. Now, again, I've reached out to people, and I always, when I reach out, I say, hey, this is what I do. These are some of the guests I've had. I'd love to have you on. And then if they say yes or no, if they say no, thank you. If you ever do something in the future, please let me know. If they say yes, awesome. hey, here's an episode if you'd like to watch it to see what it's like before you make a firm commitment. You know, like I want to make sure that the people that I work with know I am a safe, and I hate saying it because, it was just put out there, but I am a safe place.
Yeah.
You can always talk to me. Me and Jordana, we DM, we'll laugh at each other's stories and we'll
I've
tell
come to
funny
you about
jokes to each
serious
other.
stuff too. I've come to you about some things, and I was just to get some
Perspective
insight and feedback. And it's like, it felt nice to have that, because in that moment I was like, maybe I should just stop doing what I'm doing because I don't want to feel like this. Right. And then, afterwards I was like, I shouldn't have to feel like this. Right. And I have my boundaries, and like going back to,
speak no evil.
Speak no evil. It goes back to like, now I'm like, it's very much, I won't respond. I won't say anything. I don't give any attention to it because I don't need to.
And that's where, like, and that's another thing that people don't see. And it's like, it's so fun for me to be able to talk about this, like doing this, like what people don't see, like they see us working together, doing something like this. But what they don't see are the real genuine friendships that we have, that we DM each other when we have, something to talk about, or we want to laugh, or we have a serious issue and we want somebody else's perspective on something. That real genuine community that we all have with each other after working with each other. I let everybody know, I'm always here, if you need someone to talk to. And I would like to think that I'm unthreatening because my wife, I've been with my wife for 18 years. I think that, I love a lot of people, but I can never love anybody or anything the way I do her. And it's just like, I love to be, and Ashley hates the fact that I call us horror parents, like Kylie, she calls us Kylie, Anna, Celeste, they all call us the horror mom and dad. And I love that because that means that you feel safe with me. Yeah. You know that I'm a protector to you. And that to me is the biggest compliment I could ever have, because being a dad is the best thing in my life. So if I can be someone's horror dad, like, and they know that, hey, this guy is safe, he'll protect me, he'll be there if I need him. What gorgeous.
I always have
I hate being a dad.
As you're trying to talk about loving being a dad. I told my son today, he was saying mom too much. And he said, like it when I call you mom. And I was like, I take it back.
Right.
I'm sorry. Just keep saying it. Because every 2 seconds it was mom, mommy, mom. I mean, it's literally Stewie from Family. Like literally. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
process a thought, and you're like,
why are you saying it? We are looking at each other. Like, why are you saying it so much?
And it's funny because, like, man, see, Ashley and I are stupid, and we started over. I'm not saying we're stupid. I wish that she was just around the same age as her brother and sister. But we got 14, 11, and 3, and like my 14-year-old, like he doesn't give a shit about horror, like at all. Like he's a big sports nut, like, and which is fine. To each their own. Like, I love sports too.
Yeah.
My 11-year-old, she's the one that's on the spectrum. She's LGBTQ plus, and like she's she has it a little different, because we live in a very small town with very small minds.
Yeah.
Like I had to go to the school, and I was like, listen, if somebody else calls her, makes fun of her for being gay or calls her a lesbian or anything like that again, like we're gonna have major fucking problems.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, well, she's 11. You're right. She's 11 and she's old enough to make her own decisions. And me as her father, I'm there to support him, whatever her decisions are. And if she tells me she's a lesbian at 11, all I'm going to say is exactly what I told her. If you are, you are. If you're not, you're not. I'm going to love you either way. But right now I want you to focus on being a young lady. Yes. I want you to focus on school. I want you to focus on your friends. I want you to be a child. When it's time for you to decide your partner, we'll have this conversation then. And either way, I'm going to support you. But right now, I don't care. Like I had a friend of mine that was like, did it break your heart? No, it didn't. I would rather my daughter be gay and be herself and be happy than pretend to be straight and be fucking miserable.
Yeah.
So there's just all these things, and they go so much beyond horror. And I try to tell these life experiences because if we're lucky, we get 100 years on this planet. And that's if you're lucky.
That's if you're like super lucky. Yeah.
So in that short amount of time, you need to focus on the things that you consider to be success in your life. Mm-hmm. Like we actually just had a conversation the other day about how I think Sledgehammer Horror is so goddamn successful. And it's not because of the amount of views or subscribers or money we make. I've made some of my best friends because of Sledgehammer Horror.
Yeah.
And that to me is so special because I grew up a fucking nerd, man. Like I was a fucking dork. And it wasn't like sexy nerd, like how nerds are sexy now. Like this was like legit nerd, you know, like
legit nerd.
I see girls with shirts on, they're like nerds are hot. And I'm like, fuck you, man. Where the fuck were you when I was reading Spider-Man Volume 7 by myself at lunch? You son of a bitch. You know, but like nerds were not cool when I was young. So like this appreciation I have is just like the friendships that I'm able to build. Yeah. I would have, you know, when I was 13, 14, this would have been the coolest shit in the world to me to talk to other horror fans. You know, when Scream came out, I finally felt accepted because horror was cool for kids my age.
Yeah, you talked about that when we did the rankings. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I wish that I could have had this type of platform as a kid. Yeah. It can be dangerous, obviously, because I think bullying is way worse now. You know?
Yeah, bullying's crazy. But like,
when we were kids, like if you got bullied at school, the minute that you went home, it was done. You went home, you kicked it with your family, you kicked it with your friends, whatever. Now, if you're getting bullied at school, you go home, you're getting bullied on Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok. Like there's no escape.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's why children's suicide is higher now because they don't have an escape from it. Oh, just put your phone down. Yeah, and lose the one lifeline you have to the real friends you do have. You know, like it's.
Nathan says he agrees. Absolutely, horror mom and dad. He says you're too damn funny.
I try.
Yeah. I know. I want to totally be like the horror mom. Like my kid, she draws Art the Clown. She went to Halloween Horror Nights with us, and we got out of the Halloween house, and we were screaming, like getting chased by Michael Myers, and she's like, "What? Wasn't scary?"
Right.
And I'm like,
"That's awesome."
I'm like, so proud of her. And at the same token, I was pissed because I'm like, I'm scared, and you're fine. Like,
I don't want to give away your location because I feel like that's fucking disgusting and rude, and there are creeps out there. But I hope you can make it to the Midwest in August at some point. So you guys, I would love if both of you could make it here and go to Horror Hound with us in August.
I think that's like one of my biggest like things that I want to do eventually is to be able to do something horror themed with like people that I'm like connected with, you know what I mean?
I
like,
would love to do, well, you know, like, so that's, I've like been in such a slump about this lately because everybody, I feel like most people I know that are in our community and in the indie writing community too, not just, or the indie horror community and the writing side of it and books, not just this like podcast or YouTube channel stuff, but like everybody gets to go do all this stuff. Like so many things. And I'm like, I can't even go see Evil Dead because I'm a single mother. I don't have like the you know, a big support system that's just like, you know what I'll do? I'll watch your kids so you can go see horror movies all the time at theaters. And like, I don't get to do any of that stuff. And I hate it so much because I would love to be able to do things like
bring your kid to Horror Hound. Come to Indy in August. Bring your kid, because like, listen, the kids have an amazing time there because people are dressed up, people cosplay, and they have so much fun with the kids. And like I said, with Kenley, she's 3, and we cosplayed her at the last one. We'll cosplay her as Megan at this one, so that way she fits in a little more. And and the people that are there are just so amazing. Like, they'll come up and tell the kids how great they look, and they ask for pictures with them, and just to make them feel special. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's incredible, man. A horror convention, it's one of the best places you can be. The people are so cool, and they're so awesome, and they're respectful. You know, like with your kids. Hey, do you mind if I take a picture real quick? You know, people are super kind and respectful about that type of thing.
Oh, I found
it. We had a kid that was at the last one that was dressed up like the Grabber. Ooh. And he had the red shirt, the thing, like he was perfect. I was like, yo, I do have a platform. I can I please take a picture with your kid? But I want to let you know, first off, if you're not comfortable with him being on Twitter or Instagram, I won't do it. Yeah. But I just think he looks fantastic. And the dad was like, I don't give a shit. You know, like, go ahead. Yeah. You know, because they know like we're in it for the right reasons. And man, I'm serious. You guys should really bring the families. Let's do this. Let's have a meetup in August. Please Pretty
I
please.
would.
I'm looking like how far, because the idea of flying with a 5-year-old makes me want to jump off a bridge.
I know, like
It's 8 hours, 8.5 hours.
we
Drive.
flew.
Yeah.
We flew to Florida.
Yeah, 8.5. Yeah, 8.5 hour drive.
My daughter was a champ, and I was so excited. But I mean, she's a little bit older, so I was like, because I would completely understand putting a 5-year-old in a car for 8 hours or a plane for a long amount of time. I would be like,
he can look at a tablet for at least 5 without blinking.
Yeah.
Like when we have to do, because I live in a bigger city, so traffic is like a nightmare. Like our commute is really long.
Yeah.
And so, people hearing me say that and you've got your tech comments, just keep them to yourself because you got to do what the fuck you got to do sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Listen, that's the other thing that bothers me. No one knows how to raise your kid better than you.
Yeah.
And yeah, do my kids have iPads and phones? Yes, they do. But you know what else my kids have? They have 1 hour of playtime outside a day unless it's cold out. Then we have a board game. We either do, Yahtzee. We'll do Go Fish.
It's
I've been teaching
moderation,
Chloe
man.
War.
yeah.
Because I played Nintendo like it was going out of fucking style as a kid. So don't tell me about screens and the.
First of all, it is, in my humble opinion, as a professional mom, it is irresponsible to raise your children without understanding using technology in moderation, because the first thing they're going to do when they get their hands on a video gaming console or something or whatever, outside of you breathing down their neck, they will never know how to separate and divide that time. We have things, we do crafts together.
Yep.
We have calm down time in the evening, which is no electronics. We read books, we sit together. And then, on the weekends, if I have a headache, I don't give a shit how long you sit on it. Do what you got to do. Again, I'm doing this on my own. Like, I will take the break.
You
and
need that
give
break.
your judgment.
Well, again, nobody knows how to raise your kid better than you. I will never, ever, ever, unless somebody asks me specifically, hey, what would you do in this situation? Never give anybody parenting tips. Ever. 1, that's rude as fuck. 2, it's none of my fucking business. 3, I don't know your kid.
Yeah.
My nephew, people are like, every time I've seen your nephew, he has a tablet with him. Yeah. Do you know that's how he talks? Because he's fucking autistic and he's nonverbal, so he uses that for communication? No, you didn't know that. So shut the fuck up.
So shut up.
Exactly.
Well, I will say this while we're on that subject. So my best friend they have a daughter that's the exact same age as my son. And we went on a beach trip last summer, and we used to do mom YouTube until we realized, back to what we were talking about women being horrible to be friends with most of the time, is that moms are some of the most judgmental fucking people you have ever met in your life. And so we tried to do a mom YouTube channel, and it was rough because of that kind of stuff. But we took a picture of our children. We'd been to the beach, or we had been out to play and explore or whatever it was. We'd been outside like all day. We came in, they were getting on our nerves. They were hating each other's guts. We gave them ice cream, and they sat on the floor and watched phones for some decompression time. And we posted a picture of their chocolate ice cream everywhere, sitting like this, exhausted from the day, because we thought it was really funny, because they had literally been playing their brains out all day. And I woke up the next morning to a comment from some lady I'd never even heard of, wasn't a follower or an active involved, like nothing, about how sad it was that we were raising screen zombies and how dirty they looked. Bitch, first of all, we are on vacation. Second of all, who cares? Like, they're children. Children are messy. Like,
do you know how many pairs of pants and shirts I ruined from mud as a kid?
Seriously.
And you want to talk like the oxymoron that you just threw out there? Your kids are raised on screens and they're filthy. How'd they get filthy?
Yeah, exactly. Because they're doing something not on their screen. It was so right. But when I tell y'all, I was half awake, so I did have to proofread what I typed because I was so pissed. I was like, right now.
I'm pretty calm when people talk shit. When people talk shit, I'm usually pretty calm. But when you start bringing up my kids,
the kids thing, and this was not just my child. This was a child that is also partly mine, because it's my best friend's daughter who is like might as well be my kid. And I was like, I was pissed. And I don't really hold my tongue regardless. Like if I have an opinion on something, but like you said, when you add the kid factor, that's 0 to 100, baby. Like I'm not playing.
Don't mess with my kid. That's like whatever you want about me. Don't mess with
my kids, Ashley, Sledgehammer Horror, like, and that's the thing. And Ashley will tell you the same thing, I love my kids more than I love my wife. My wife loves my kids more than she loves me, and it's, it's a different love, obviously. Sure. But if Ashley needed a kidney, I'd give it to her. If I could rip every tooth out of my mouth with a fucking pair of needle nose to make sure she never felt any pain again, I'd do it. Of course, I'd drink a fucking gallon of salt water right after if that's what it took. Oh. But it's just something completely different with my kids. Like my kids, there's just like I didn't have a good relationship with my dad, so all I ever wanted to be in my life was a dad. And like once it happened, like it's just the best. Like it's just like the coolest shit. Like when I get home from work and Kenley gets all excited to see me, like Kenny and Chloe, they don't give a shit. They're like, Dad, yeah, we know you. You're cool, whatever.
You're okay.
Kenley still gets excited to see me. I come in the house.
My son's the same way. Dad! I get that too. And I even got recently, how come you don't come inside so my friends can see you pick me up? And I'm like, that's not gonna last forever. Let's take it. Well, and I will tell you too, because you just said this, that like it's ironic, but I think is also really common is I didn't have my biological mother was not an active part of my life. In fact, she tried to really ruin my life. And then my dad got custody. And it's like, so my desire to be a good mom is like, it's so up because I mean, I remember when I was pregnant being at home and being like holding my belly and making all these promises of all the things that I would never let my child feel because of the things I felt when I was a kid. That's what I'm telling, like 0 to 100, and that's anybody. My ex-husband, whose child are you raising your voice at?
The funniest thing about that, like people make TikToks and shit about it, but it's so true. Like I'll come home from work and Ashley would be like, Kenny did this, and I'll go start yelling at him. She'll be like, calm down. I'll be like, the fuck? You just told me what he did. Like, and like the biggest thing that I tell my kids, they know it now. So that, like when the first time Kenny ever, I don't hit, like that's not me.
Yeah.
I'll give a swat on the ass. I don't think that's, uncommon. But Kenny got hit in the back of the head one time. And he was at the dinner table and he was talking to his mom and he said something around the lines of, it was indirectly saying you're fucking stupid. And I, slapped him in the back of the head. And I was like, when you start talking to her that way, that's not your mom, that's my wife, and nobody fucking talks to my wife like that. And, now it's to the point where I'm like, hey, and they're like, we know it's your wife. 'Cause like, for me, like, I don't give a shit what you say to me or, I don't care. Yeah. I was there when she gave birth to you and that did not look fun. Like,
it's not fun. Spoiler
Yelp
alert.
review 0. Would not recommend.
Would not recommend.
And then you're not going to talk to her like that. I don't have my mom anymore. Like, I'll be damned if you're going to talk to yours like that because someday she's going to be gone. And you're going to think about all the stupid fucking things you said to her.
Things you said, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, that's the type of shit for me that's just like, and I'm not saying that happens a lot. I'm very blessed with the kids I have. But, that is one of the things that will make me, get serious is when you start talking to your mom like that. That's when I'm like, and they'll know because they'll start hearing me come up the stairs. And,
shit, here comes Dad.
I'm that dad, I'm the you just wait till your dad gets home, Dad. Like, that's me, Kenny's told me like there's times where it's just like, man, I hope you had a really good day at work. Oh man, I hope you had a good day. Because again, what my punishment is, my son loves his Xbox. So what we'll do is, yes, you can keep your Xbox. Yes, you can keep your controller. But I'm taking all your batteries. So you can sit there and you can look at it and you can wonder what your friends are doing on it. And you can even hold your controller, but there ain't no batteries in that motherfucker. So now you got to stare at it the whole time. Or sure, you can keep your phone. Give me your charger. And when that phone is dead, you can stare at it and you can remember the things that you just said as you're looking at a phone that does not turn on.
That's a good punishment.
You know, because then you got to stare at it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like you take it away where you got to literally stare at it. Like, fuck, I could be playing that right now if I wasn't such a dick. You know?
That's a good. I'm gonna have to pull that out once she gets a phone, which won't be until she's 20.
Well, see, the thing, like my son, he's
That's
14.
so
He has his
hard.
own phone.
Yeah.
Chloe is 11. She has her own phone. But the thing is, people are like, you let your kids have phones? Yeah, because my kids do a lot of extracurricular shit.
Exactly.
And I got to know, I track their phones.
Yeah.
I know where they are.
Yeah.
If my daughter had dance class today, and if she gets out early, Ashley had to go to work, as you both know.
Yeah.
I had to go get Kenley. I had to pick Kenny up from baseball practice. If Chloe gets done early, she's got to be able to call me. So that way she's not sitting there for an hour.
Yeah.
That's what happens at ballet class. Sometimes they get out early. Sometimes they go way late, you know, and it's a real bummer trying to take Kenley into dance class and telling her that she can't dance with the other girls. I don't want to deal with that headache. So I just wait until she's done to go pick her up.
Yeah.
People, again, you cannot tell somebody else how to parent their kids.
Yeah.
You cannot do it. Because, again, my 14-year-old, he needs to have a phone. I need to be able for him to get a hold of me if something's going on. My 11-year-old, they go to school. If something's happening at school and they need me to come and get them, or if, you know, anything, if they get kidnapped, I can track them now.
Yeah.
I know exactly where they're at. You know, God, you know.
Yeah.
Please God. But I love you both very much, but it is almost midnight and I have to be to work at 5 a.m.
This was such a fun live, and because I was looking at the clock.
Yeah, I'll wrap this up really quick. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for coming. If you guys left comments, thank you for hanging out in the chat. Really appreciate that. I'll post about my May live coming up soon. That one's gonna be similar in theme, sort of. So but yeah, thank you guys so much for coming. Hope everybody has a good rest of their week and a good weekend coming up. We'll see you in the next one.
Yes. Good night.